Welcome, Bassstronauts. This is Teal's Bass Galaxy, an endless dimension of fishing legends and degenerates connecting through raw, real, in-person conversations and stories. No, this is not your average fishing podcast. There's no rules, there's no limits. 3, 2, 1, blast off. This podcast is intended for mature audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's been confirmed. Aliens from another planet have landed on Earth. Sources say there's been 2 confirmed landing points for these extraterrestrial beings. One being Japan, and also, unexpectedly, in Minnesota at Waypoint Angler Supply, a local tackle shop on Lake Minnetonka. With the ever-expanding universe, it's no surprise that there are other planets out there that also share our love for the sport of bass fishing. And to Earth's surprise, this latest visit came from extraterrestrial fishermen light years away and many innovations ahead when it comes to fishing equipment. Some hypothesize these beings came from the planet of Naboo, matching up with Mayan folklore dating back thousands of years with fishing equipment ahead of their time. It has been confirmed they left things never seen before by an Earth-born bass. Waypoint Angler Supply is the premier space station in the bass galaxy and has tackle that could previously only be found in Japan or the planet of Naboo. The Waypoint ship is full, but we don't know when the Bassstronauts from Naboo will be back. So hurry in to Waypoint Angler Supply today and stock up on that Area 51 Planet of Naboo JDM good before your buddy is whooping that sweet ass of yours. Stop into their store on Lake Minnetonka or visit their website, waypointanglersupply.com. That's waypointanglersupply.com. Use the code GALAXY20 to save 20% on your next tackle binge. Aliens are real. Thank you. The Bass Galaxy is also supported by Vocelka Fishing and Customs, Supreme Lending, Dream Team, Lake Country Insurance Services, My Wedge Motor Support, Supreme Lure Company, just north of Memphis, Barbecue and Catering. Thank you. I don't know. Keith Tuma. Welcome to the Bass Galaxy.
Aaron Teal, thank you for having me.
Welcome back.
Thank you. It's been a minute, like a year and a half.
Yeah, I got you something.
You did?
I did.
Okay.
Okay.
Lay it on me.
I felt for you this year, man.
Okay.
I felt for you.
I wanted to address this.
Well, we can just, what's the point of beating around the bush?
We'll jump right into it.
So it's called Redemption Whiskey.
Excellent.
And, you brought me this nice bottle of J.P. Weiser's the last time.
Yes, sir.
And you had a hell of a year, I guess, is what I do want to say on the record, is that what you accomplished this past season is a lot of people would dream to have a season that good, I guess. And I feel like it maybe felt like a kick in the dick more than anything for you at the end of the season, but I'm proud of you, dude.
Well, thank you so much. I'm ecstatic with how things turned out. I feel like I had a phenomenal year, and I do not have but one, maybe 2 regrets.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, and it boiled down to a lake, and I zigged when I probably should have zagged, and it's okay. We can cover that later on, but I have no worries. In the podcast that I listened to you and Andy Walls did, you said you felt bad. You just said it now. Don't feel one bit bad, man. I had a phenomenal year. I am stoked and fired up for this coming season, for sure.
Yeah, dude.
Which starts really quick.
Yeah, really soon here. So I guess I do want to walk through a little bit of the emotions that you felt last year. And
okay.
I guess you're kind of a stone cold guy, but what was fishing the Bassmaster Opens last year like, and being in the qualifying position, the driver's seat, so to speak, most of the year?
I didn't look at it. I tried not to pay attention to it because I didn't want to spin myself out.
Sure.
So I just went out and I did my thing. I fished or tried to cater to my strengths so that I was comfortable on the water. Sure. And it didn't always work out with phenomenal results, but I was hanging in there. Yeah. And I felt like I set myself up obviously to be in position to qualify for the elites. And I got really freaking close.
Close.
Yeah. Like tied for 13th. I ended up 14th place overall out of 176 competitors that fished all 9. And yeah, that's not too shabby considering we were on a bunch of water that I was not familiar with. Totally. And so this redemption is so very fitting.
Say when.
When. That's about 2 fingers. Thanks, boss.
Yeah. I'm going to take it a little easier than that.
Yeah, I understand.
Yep. We actually had to reschedule this one due to, I think I had a bad burrito or something.
Well, we're not going to get into that.
Nope.
I think you were just nervous for a little Tuma time.
For sure, dude. For sure. I wasn't sure if you were like on suicide watch. I didn't know what Tuma I was getting right now.
Nope, you got the same old happy-go-lucky, let's go fishing Tuma.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, do you want some saltines?
No, thank you.
Hey.
I appreciate it, though. I got a piece of candy in my face, and we're about to enjoy some whiskey after we get the appropriate cheers in and the knock on the bar.
Well, I just need to make sure I get a saltine down quick.
I want you to do that.
Okay. They say, isn't there like a saltine challenge of sorts?
There is.
Okay. I'm not going to do that today.
I wouldn't challenge or wouldn't push it too hard, I should say.
No, I won't have whiskey on an empty stomach. So
okay.
Here this is.
So the crunching in the background is Aaron eating a saltine.
There's a saltine sound.
Funny stuff. It's a good thing you can edit this out. Yeah, they're phenomenal, aren't they?
I might keep it.
You're just looking at me like I'm supposed to know what to do here.
It's the first time I've ever ate a saltine on the record. And
really? Mm-hmm. Okay. And what are your thoughts? You know, walk us through the process. What's going through your mind right now?
I'm sorry for everybody who had to hear it.
You should apologize.
Yeah.
Well, cheers.
Hey. Cheers.
Thank you for the redemption.
Hey.
We'll get a bang on the bar. There you go.
Yeah,
that's a good whiskey.
That is good.
Yes. The little touch of rye in there comes through.
It does, actually.
Yes.
It does.
It's 75% corn, I believe, and 25% rye is what I read on there, or maybe a little bit less.
Yeah.
It's freaking delicious.
4% barley as well.
Oh, there's some barley. Okay.
See, and you're more of a connoisseur than me, I guess. You picked up the rye right away, and once you said it, I could feel it, but...
No, it's good.
Do you have any rituals with bourbon on the road?
No.
Smart. Smart.
I would have a couple of beers at some of the tournaments. But yeah, other than that, I kept it pretty low key. Felt like I needed to stay focused and not get too out of hand like I can and do back home.
Well, talking to Pat Schlapper,
that's a great guy, by the way.
It is a great guy. Great fisherman, just like you. And
thank you.
Pat was telling me he really runs a strict diet, when he's on the road, because, dude, it's a marathon, as you know.
Yes.
You're probably exhausted after each
Cheesy
of those
poofs
events.
are my staple.
Cheese poofs?
Cheesy poofs.
Poofy cheeses? Okay. Like Cheetos brand, or are you like...
The Cheetos brand are okay. For a while, Casey's made a run of the jalapeno popper cheesy poofs. Dude.
Yeah.
I snagged so many of those bags and brought them with me, and I had to ration them because they were a limited run deal on them. Yeah, so good.
Cool.
Yeah, and then I think I found another brand that had the jalapeno as well, and it was like Harrah's or something like that.
Okay.
They had some too. They're good as well.
Sure. Do you ever mess with the homemade caramel puffs?
I have not.
That's like crack around Christmas time, around
Sure.
Thanksgiving. It's more like the homemade variety, but I've grown quite fond of that.
Absolutely.
So, dude, I feel like we got to air some shit out. I haven't talked to you in a while. like, what's new in Keith Tuma's world? You're an absolute ghost. Like, you fly under the radar until you're fishing. And I guess, like, have you been working? Have you been...
I've been doing a little bit of working, mostly just stuff around the house, prepping the boat. I go into hermit mode when I'm not on the water or not fishing or out on the road, I should say. Sort of. I just kind of keep to myself. I check in periodically with people, but yeah, I try not to get too spun out about things. Try not to get too worked up or too much thinking into the future of how you would like things to shake out, because as you know, and any tournament angler of any species knows, you can make plans, but as soon as you do, there's a higher power that says, yep, nope, we're going to throw you a curveball and your plans are no longer valid. So
Sure.
So it's I can sit here and I could think, oh yeah, man, I'm gonna do this here, do that there, all that fun stuff, but that's getting kind of off the track. But as far as just in my off time, spend some time with family, friends, did some hunting. Obviously indulged a little bit too much with the food over the holidays, sure. Thanksgiving through New Year's. And
because what kind of hunting do you do?
Oh, deer hunting.
Okay.
So rifle season.
Kill the deers. I like it.
I did. I was successful this year.
Got one.
Yeah, I got a nice little 8-pointer. So
nice little 8-pointer.
That's
pretty cool.
Made about a 350-yard shot on it, and yeah, it was a heck of a poke off of a big round bale of hay. And
see, we can't shoot them that far, like down here, from what they say. You got rifle up there, right?
Rifle, correct.
Yeah. See, that sounds like my kind of hunting.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, 350 yards. What do you shoot then? 30-06? Or?
Well, I'm running a 7mm Sherman Short Magnum, and it's a
in English, please.
It's the closest thing to compare it to is it's a redesigned 7 short action Ultra Mag. So the Remington SAUM 7mm, it's a redesigned case based off of that cartridge, sure. For the most part. Very, very comparable to your 7 WSMs and your, stuff like that, the Winchester Short Mag, but just different shoulder angle, a little more case capacity, and it drives a 180 grain bullet to about 3,000 feet per second. It's pretty freaking flat shooting too.
Dang.
Yeah, do some hand loading with it, and it's cool. It's cool
so
stuff.
You load your own stuff?
I do. Yeah, it's
my neighbor does. Nick Gross, he does the same thing.
Heck
That's
yeah.
Sweet. Yeah,
it's good. It's good, soothing fun.
Right.
You can build a couple of rounds, go out, test them, and see what they do. And if they print the way you want, then you just hope and pray.
I mean, that you want to prep for the apocalypse, you start packing your own rounds.
Well, there might be a little bit of that going on as well.
Who knows?
I've got friends that are very apocalypse minded, if you will.
Preppers?
So, yeah, kind of.
You don't have a bunker?
Not a bunker.
Okay.
But I got a loading room.
Well, yeah, that's just it. I joke with Nick that, like, I'm very thankful to be his neighbor because he's got a wood stove.
Sure.
He's got, all that stuff. So I understand that, when shit hits the fan,
go off the grid type of deal.
I'm gonna need to go over there. I understand that I'm gonna be the first man to die because they've got a family. I understand I need to go out and gather the stuff and
sure.
do the negotiations with the savage parties.
Yep.
Do the trade things.
Okay.
But I'm not a prepper.
Liquor will go far, and then fishing skills, hunting skills, things along those lines. When and if anything ever happens, I'm very hopeful that it doesn't.
I'm an optimist, right?
Yes.
It's tough to live life, thinking something really bad's going to happen.
Correct.
But it is kind of fun to think about what you would do if it did.
It's fun to think about it, but then how twisted up do you want to get? It's like that same thing going into a lake that you've never been to, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do that, and then you get out in the water and it's like, nope, I'm not doing any of that.
Right.
So,
well, it's like I know what in my mind I would load up a bass boat full of supplies.
Sure.
And I would, go live on an island.
Okay.
And start learning to counterweight knives so you can cast knives and kill stuff.
Oh my goodness.
With them.
That's a new one on me.
That I don't think about it much, but
okay,
that's about as far as I've got.
A few more fingers of whiskey and you'll be thinking about it hardcore, right?
I gotta watch the whiskey.
But it's really tasty.
Dude, did I pick a good bottle or did I pick a good bottle?
Knocked it out of the park, brother.
Well, I'm excited to try that O-Bank, and of course, I was like, no, I'm going to get Keith a bottle this time. Since he got me this Weiser's last time, I'm going to get Keith a bottle. And sure as heck, he brings me another bottle of whiskey.
Well, absolutely. I can't show up empty-handed.
Well, you showing up at all means the world, dude.
Oh,
so,
thank you.
Yeah. Okay. We went from What's New With You to living on islands with counterweighted knives.
Yeah, we got sidebar there.
Let's maybe delve back. But so you do some hunting, you pack some shells. There's so much to that.
There is.
Just like fishing.
It's an art, yeah.
Yeah, and I am by no means, but like when I hear 7mm, you're talking to an absolute dumbass when it comes to hunting.
Okay.
But I have like a 9mm.
Yep.
But that's like super short range, super short ballistics.
That's a little pistol, and it's cute. But
like 7mm. When somebody says 7mm to me, I don't think of this big, powerful rifle, I guess. Versus
actually it is.
Yeah.
And you get a really long bullet, especially when you get up in higher weight grain bullets, higher weight bullets. So that you get a better ballistic coefficient. So basically it just travels through the air, cuts the air better. And then the heavier bullets, they're slower, but they don't drop as much with the higher ballistic coefficient.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because like an AR, the bullet's way smaller.
Yeah, with the
but the
223
power
or the
is
5.56.
way more, right?
I wouldn't say the power is more, but you got a lot more velocity. So let's say you're cranking a 55 or 60 grain bullet to 3,400 feet per second. You got a ton of initial velocity. But with that light bullet, that velocity is going to fall off a lot quicker. It's going to drop a lot quicker. Used to do a ton of prairie dog hunting or prairie dog shooting, whatever you wanted to say. But and the 223 was definitely a go-to. The 22-250, which is even faster. That would really, you hit them in the right launch button, and boy, pieces and parts go flying everywhere. It's good times.
Dude, prairie dog hunting sounds real fun.
If you haven't done it, you need to try it.
I haven't done it. I've heard a lot about it, and I think I need to do it because that goes down where? South Dakota?
South Dakota is mainly where we were, kind of around the Fort Pierre area. Yeah.
Is that by, that's by Oahe.
I don't know, dude.
Well, Pierre, South Dakota?
Yeah.
It's near Fort Pierre?
Yeah, it's very close.
Okay, then it'd be Oahe. Basically,
Okay.
because Oahe runs, I know this because I fished Oahe for the first time last spring.
Nice.
Real early.
We'll get back into that.
I learned a lot. But
Okay.
now that I know that you can maybe shoot prairie dogs too,
Oh, yeah.
I might even go back.
You should. Yeah, bring a boat, some fishing stuff, and a rifle. And find some public land. Or some private land. Go talk to farmers. They want them gone.
I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah, keep breaking cows' ankles, right?
Yep.
That's what it does.
That was the big thing. Yeah, they wanted them gone off of the grazing pastures and whatnot, so that the cows didn't fall in the holes and bust an ankle. Yeah, that'd suck.
Well,
That's a lot of
it's
money.
a real thing.
Yeah, it is. Yep.
Yeah.
And then we of course made jokes about the prairie dogs being vicious and they would attack us and things along those lines. So you had to defend the camp and whatnot. Yeah,
So
was
you've
after
been doing
a few
that
beers.
a while.
I haven't been in a number of years, but in the early 2000s, it was definitely a thing. We made an annual trip out, or sometimes 2 or 3 trips out, and yeah,
Cool.
it was a hoot. And then I got into bass fishing.
A little more fun. I suppose
God dang, dude, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of another at that point. But
it's more so like 2 weeks prairie dog hunting. You're probably sick of killing prairie dogs. 2 weeks of bass fishing. Probably not sick of catching
no,
bass.
bring on bass fishing some more. Yeah,
It's kind of, it's not just gophers popping out of holes waiting
Correct.
to get whacked, right?
Correct.
That's a little more nuanced approach to it. But
yeah, takes a little more skill.
yeah, dude. And I guess for me, what I like about what you're doing and what I appreciate about what you're doing is just even simply from when you travel down south, when you put yourself out there, when you put yourself in an uncomfortable position or, whatever it might be, you learn so much.
Yes.
There's so much that to be learned. And with what you went through last year, I think what's cool to me is that you probably learned an unspeakable amount of things on the water last year, off the water, you name it.
I'm glad you brought that up because it was a highly educational year. Yes.
Me too. Yeah.
And
yeah.
Yeah, no, it was phenomenal. Just the amount of things that I learned, even fishing my strengths, I was still learning what to and how to and all that stuff. And
Sure.
yeah, it was really cool, really entertaining. And then obviously going to a brand new body of water, the pre-practice, this is the craziest thing, and I'm going to do it again this year. I'm going to go do a little bit of pre-practice on some of the lakes, but you can pretty much throw it out the window with the exception of navigation. And that was my excuse, was going to some of these unfamiliar bodies of water and learning how to navigate around them.
Yeah.
So I didn't waste my 4.5 days of official practice on trying to figure out how to get around the dang lake. Yeah.
There's a couple lakes for sure where that was more of a thing, right? You get
Toledo Bend.
yes.
Yes.
Lot of
Standing
stumps.
timber everywhere. And you stay in the boat lanes until you don't.
Yeah. Yeah. So pre-practice for you was more so navigation.
Correct.
Okay.
I mean, I would still dob around and do some fishing, but you can. A lot of the pre-practice that I was doing there was a 30-day off limits period last year in 23 prior to the tournament. Prior to the tournament start. This year there's 2 weeks, so 14 days basically. It varies. I guess some are 12 and others are 14. But yeah, so the lakes will be a little bit more on par for what they're going to be doing come tournament time if you go out and pre-practice just before off limits.
Sure.
But the other cool thing that they did for this year is no information.
Oh, that's wonderful if it's policed accordingly.
I hope it will be.
How do you police that accordingly, Keith?
That is a very difficult thing, especially with
Gets a little gray.
it does get gray, but it won't be as blatantly obvious like it was last year.
Well, I heard,
Go
and
for
I
it.
can say this
Jump right in.
because I don't give a shit, but I heard that there's quite a bit of cheating going on last year.
We can't call
in
it
the
cheating.
opens. Well, so I don't know what to call it, I guess, but
Let's
a lot of money involved.
correct. And
Paying guides, paying.
okay, so
That shit's gay, man.
word is definitely out. Let's put it
That's not the first time that's been said.
correct. I know, but I don't want to come across sounding like, oh, these guys sure.
I got you
This and
covered
that.
there. Cheaters. Just
No,
kidding.
it was within the rules.
Well,
And if it's within the rules, it's just people taking advantage of the rules.
totally.
And that's
Which-
that is what has advanced racing into what it is today. Auto manufacturers pushing the envelope. I mean, if you're not
Totally.
riding the gray area, you're not winning, basically.
I don't disagree with that, but there's to me, I watched a Zaldane podcast where it made the gray area sound evil, so to speak. And to me, there's more evil gray, and then there's smart gray.
Okay,
For example,
let's not name names.
no. I'm just trying to think about there's pushing gray areas with where I'm trying to think of a good example right now, and I'm just drawing a blank.
Okay, well then I'm going to get back onto my little point while
Yes,
you're
go.
thinking. I'm gonna segregate this into 3 groups of guys that were fishing the opens last year.
Yep.
There's the ones that were not getting any information, period.
Keith
And
Tuma.
well, I'm going to get on that. So these first 2 are going to be along the similar lines, that they were not getting any information whatsoever. There's probably 4, and they weren't doing that great. I mean, every once in a while they'd show because it was a lake that fit their style or something like that. Then there was guys that were not getting any information, doing it what a lot of people would say is the right way. I air quoted that, or the right way, which I fell into that category, and a lot of the guys that I was associating with fell into that category as well. Sure, will we swap information, little bit tidbits here and there amongst other competitors during that time? Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
But did I go and run a bunch of stuff? I can only speak for myself, but there was a number of guys that were doing it the right way. Then there's the guys that had unlimited budgets, and there was a lot of hiring of guides during off limits for people that they know or whatever, and they would go out on the lake and whatever. So it's super easy to break down a lake when it's already broke down for you.
Yeah.
And that's cool. Good for them for taking advantage of the situation. I and several other people did really well, even faced with those odds.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's what I think's cool.
I think that's cool. And that's what makes me not feel one bit bad about the performance of last year and how I just stuck to my guns. And did I have an absolutely stellar performance every single tournament? No. But I was right there with save for one. And that's okay. Out of 9 freaking tournaments, the amount of consistency that a guy needed to have. If you go back and look at previous histories, previous points and all that stuff, dude, I made it hands down.
Yeah, dude.
Okay.
That's what's crazy to me. And I forget who told me this, but that if you go off past averages,
correct,
you'd have been in.
100%.
So it's almost like...
And so would a lot of other people.
Right. Right.
But anyway, you can't knock guys for playing the game. You can hate the game, don't hate the player.
Valid.
Okay. So, and I'm cool with that. This year is going to be a little bit different. However, you know, there's another way to look at this. Sure, they cut off the information, which is great. I think that's phenomenal. They shortened off the off limits. Go ahead. So
can you walk me through what the rule changes were?
Okay, so they went from a 30-day off limits with information to a 2-week off limits, no information, unless it's from another competitor that's enrolled in the tournament.
Sure.
And that's great. I think that's probably the way it should be.
Yep.
The next step would be go blind. I would love to see that, but it probably won't ever happen. Show up to the lake, the cream's going to rise to the crop, or to the top, I should say.
I agree, unless I'm going to Alabama.
Right. No, I mean, there's going to be local advantage. There's going to be prior knowledge. There's going to be all that other stuff.
That's what no information, I think, does. Is it really your Jamie Bruce's, you know, I think that really makes it tough for those guys because a gray area that I can appreciate is a little bit of information.
Sure. Get some intel.
And a gray area I can appreciate is way too much information.
Correct. And we're on the same page. And a lot of other people are on that same page as well.
Totally.
But they addressed it.
Yeah.
By getting rid of the open information deal.
Right.
But and it's okay. It's ultimately the angler against the fish in any scenario. You could be given all the spots on the lake. You still got to catch them. And a lot of guys do. But it's super easy to be in an area, have confidence that this is where I need to be. I'm not going to go look anywhere else. I just got to figure out how to catch these little turds.
Yeah.
You know, so, I mean, that's where it gets, I mean, if you want to call it an unfair advantage, whatever, but it's an edge. That's all it is.
Totally.
I don't think it's unfair because it was well within the rules to do all that stuff.
Right.
So not sounding like a whiner, but in the same sense, it's like, you know what? God dang it. Cut back on the information. Let's see what happens.
I agree.
So it will be interesting to watch the elites this year.
It really will be. And I feel like, man, just the sacrifice that an Opens EQ angler has to make, though.
Correct.
And
any angler. It's on any level.
Yeah.
From club stuff all the way up to the top of the line.
But as far as payouts go, the Opens is an absolute death sentence when it comes to payouts. It's all about qualifying.
They did change the payout on the Opens now. They didn't really bump first and second place, or they didn't alter that a bunch.
They made the pay down better?
Pay down. They're paying back 45 places this year.
That's good.
Entry fee went up to $2,000 instead of $1,800, which is cool.
Yeah.
A couple $100, but they did take away from some, but they also added to a bunch.
Sure.
So that top 10, I mean, it's something now. Like 10th place is $9,000 or $10,000.
Good.
So that's awesome. I mean, I was 10th on Toledo. I don't think we had a full field. It was dangerously close, but that was like $60-some-$100 for 10th place, which fine. Right. I was giddy. Yeah. Did I weigh a fish in that last day? Nope. But I rode the shit out of my first day bag, you know?
Yeah.
And that's okay. I didn't make the right adjustments, and that was being an absolute rookie on that lake. I had a phenomenal pattern going, and I watched it develop. This was
Which
so
lake
cool.
was this again?
This was Toledo Bend.
Toledo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I watched my pattern develop during practice and then go away just as quick. It was so crazy.
You felt like you were maybe on the front end of it, and it was going to keep getting better, and then
if the tournament would have been 2 days prior, it may have been a little different story.
Sure. But you were able to adjust. So it left, that pattern left. What did you do?
Oh, I went and fished brand new water. I just said, you know what? I went and I fished that final day.
To do.
Huh?
That's so hard to do.
It was 100%. It was hard to do. And hindsight, this is one of the ones where I kind of kicked myself. But still, dude, a 10th place, I'm giddy. Especially on a brand new body of water.
Especially against that field, dude.
Correct.
Yeah.
But what I should have done, hindsight, is I should have gone a different direction and fished new-ish water.
Most tournament anglers and guides are not covered fully or properly. Most insurance policies don't cover exposure due to tournaments and guiding. Taking the chance of using the wrong insurance gives the insurance company an out when settling a claim. How will the insurance company know that you're fishing tournaments or guiding? Well, social media is their number one resource. And guess what? They use it. Lake Country Insurance offers one of the only products that can cover both tournament and guiding use in your vessel. Anglers don't seem to hesitate spending $50,000 to $100,000 for a boat. Why risk that large asset, all because you wanted to save a few extra shekels? Are you nuts? Call the folks at Lake Country Insurance today and make sure you have the proper coverage for your boat before the unexpected happens. Call 612-285-3113 today or visit their website, lcisagency.com. That's lcisagency.com. Attention all Bastronauts. This podcast is supported by the Bass Galaxy's title sponsor, Waypoint Angler Supply, the Midwest's new landing pad for hardcore anglers just like you and me. If you're looking for the sneaky goods you can't find anywhere else, look no further. Waypoint Angler Supply has the largest offering of JDM tackle in the Midwest, and they are right here in Minnesota on Lake Minnetonka. This is truly a place every bass fisherman in Minnesota needs to visit because we finally have a tackle shop in the state that's as dreamy as the ones you find down south. And the staff at Waypoint Angler Supply understands the various needs of us anglers, which is why you'll find the selection there so enticing. Ross and the folks at Waypoint Angler Supply are passionate about carrying the right stuff, providing an authentic customer experience, and they listen to the anglers. And it doesn't end at JDM baits. They stock all the top U.S. brands, as well as local Minnesota brands like Vocelka Fishing and Customs, Arsenal Fishing, Bait Lab Custom Swim Baits, All Terrain Tackle, Bagley Northland, Outcast Tackle, and more. So stop into their store on Lake Minnetonka or visit their website, waypointanglersupply.com. That's waypointanglersupply.com. Use the code GALAXY20 to save 20% on your next tackle binge.
Somewhere where I had pre-practiced and done the same thing that I was doing. Because it would have been, I think I could have got a limit.
Same thing in a different place, you're saying?
Correct. Yeah, a little stuff that wasn't quite as far as long. I didn't factor
because there's around the spawn, so you've got some creeks, some things heat up a little sooner than others.
The fish were in all stages. I would say in practice, they were first part of practice. They were definitely like pre-spawn, and then they transitioned like within a day or two to okay, spawn is coming. Boom, it's on. And I caught the tailish end of it in my area that I was concentrating on the first day of tournament. Second day of tournament, I messed up. I didn't mess up. I just didn't connect with one really good bite. And
was it on a bed?
I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I wasn't fishing that shallow, and I couldn't really see.
Cool.
Even in the shallow water, I wasn't fishing clean water. I was kind of dirtier water stuff. But last day of practice, well, I take that back. So Wednesday's a half a day. We just went out. One of my buddies of mine, and I went out. And we just fun fished, and we ended up both starting there because, my God, did we knock the fire out of them? And we were fun fishing, but yet at the same time, it's like, okay, we're just sampling, you know?
Sure.
And there was a wave of fish that moved into that area, and it wasn't giant weights, but it was enough to like keep you in the hunt type of deal.
Well, you hear about that like rattle trap pre-spawn deal down there. I'm sure there's a chatterbait pre-spawn deal down there.
It was a crankbait thing.
I love a crankbait.
Oh, dude, it was fun.
And there's people who are saying that crankbait sales are in the tanker right now since this live scope thing came around. But I got to imagine that's temporary.
Good.
Yeah, that's what I said. I was like, I will keep throwing it.
Yeah, and I'm throwing it with the live scope too. Am I 100% a scoper? No, but it's a tool, and I'm using it when I need to.
I wasn't sure when to get into that, but I wanted to get into that a little bit because if there's anything I've learned over the past year, it's how to use that tool better, and I'm just
know when to use it and when to not look at it.
And I'm kicking myself right now because I'm like, man, if I knew now, or if I knew then what I knew now, I really feel like it would have been a better season for me.
Isn't that the great thing about hindsight?
It's always 2020. And yeah, it's weird how clear your vision is when you look into the past.
Correct.
So everybody uses that tool a little bit differently.
Yes.
And everybody finds Bob Downey and I were talking about this, kind of finding your style with the live scope. And,
sure.
And it's more of a tool than just video gaming fish, although if there's anything we've seen on the Opens, on the Elite Series right now, that if you ain't good with your scope, it's tough to compete.
I know this guy just bought one, but look at John Cox. How freaking successful is that dude? And he never turned his electronics on for some tournaments. Hell, there was other tournaments. I think I picked up on this in your podcast, or was it a different one? That he never even put the trolling motor down in a couple of his tournaments.
That Bull Shoals time when I heard that he was fishing, like those Ozark Main Lake Clearwater lakes. When I found out that he was, because nobody catches him on a wacky Senko on that stuff.
Right.
That time of year, it's fast getting them to react. Big gizzard shad, something. And when the only difference between him and everybody else is he wasn't putting his trolling motor in the water.
Yep.
There's
been a few tournaments up here even where, this is years ago, we weren't getting bit. And I looked at my tournament partner for a couple of those, and it was Jim Smith.
Yeah.
Dude, let's kill the electronics. And we did, and we started getting bit. And then the other thing was there was another boat in the area, and especially this one. And as soon as they'd hit the trolling motor, we'd get bit. When they were off the trolling motor, neither one of us were getting bit. When we got on the trolling motor, they were catching fish.
So you what you're saying is you've seen two scenarios, one where noise makes them bite.
Well, I think we were pushing fish towards them, and their lures just happened to be there, and the fish weren't really spooked, but they didn't like what was going on by the boat that had the trolling motor running.
Dude,
now there's
that's wild.
Okay, so then there's another scenario which is totally opposite. Like, let's take Harris Chain a number of years ago, and I'm going to name that lake. I'm not naming the other one, but I needed boat traffic in my area so that I could get bit.
I remember that.
Yes.
With the hydrilla fields.
Correct.
And the jabronis.
Yes.
And that, to me, it was such a Tonka-like story. Of prop wash stirring stuff up. And,
correct.
And whatnot. And it's like...
So that last day, I went an hour and 45 minutes without getting a bite. And I looked at my marshal and I said, we're going to do something dumb. I said, I need boat traffic. He's like, what? I said, put your life jacket on. I popped trolling motor up, threw my life jacket on, and did a couple of rounds, set back down, and cast right to where I was running. And, well, I won the tournament.
You did win the tournament.
That last fish was key. It was a 7.5, 7 3/4, something like that. I never weighed it, but it culled out like a 2 3/4. Yeah, that was a big, big move. And it was after I made the circles.
See, that is such a cool story. And we're talking about John Cox, talking about Keith Tuma. There's scope, but there's also a level of intuition with the sport.
Sure.
And a level of, like John Cox, it's a weird sixth sense that it just seems like he possesses that other people don't think of.
Oh, the dude's fishy.
Oh man, I'm gonna make zero noise here, and then on this lake, I'm gonna bang into every dock. Like,
right? How's that for a dichotomy?
Here,
oh, my girlfriend would be so proud if I used that word.
Dichotomy.
Yes, she used it forever, and then I gave her crap about it.
Oh yeah, so your girlfriend's smart.
She's super smart.
That's cool. That's gotta. I mean, we talk about fishing. What's some stuff you've learned from her? She sounds like an awesome chick.
Lighten up. don't take shit so serious all the time.
That's what whiskey's for.
There's so many other lessons, I guess, if you will, that you don't really realize they are until much later. But anyway,
Right.
yeah, no, it's a good thing. We don't need to talk about much more of that.
Sounds like a great gal.
She's phenomenal.
We don't need to say her name unless you want to.
It's okay.
Yep.
She knows who she is.
We know who you are. I don't. Okay, so back to like live scope as a tool.
Yeah.
I've seen you use live scope fishing against me like before you fished the opens.
Correct.
So I know you've been messing with it for quite some time.
I have.
And what I was curious about looking at last year and all the hype around last year, you saw, your Milliken videos, your what have you. It seemed to be a scoping dominant year. And I guess without talking to you, I was just in my head, I was like, I wonder if Keith's doing kind of the same thing, or I wonder if he's kind of just on his own deal, because you are the type of guy that doesn't necessarily do what everyone else is doing, and that's one thing I really like about you is you like to figure out something and you roll with it.
The B pattern that could play.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at.
So how do you use utilizing scope in the opens last year? A lot of anglers would say they relied super heavily on it.
Okay. I would say 60-40 for me.
60, yes, live scope.
60% where definitely I was using it. Hell, here's one lake where I was using it and then not using it. A southern lake in the center of the country.
Ozark?
No, I definitely used it on Lake of the Ozarks, and that's where I got into the decoy fish. And anyway, blah, blah, blah. We can get into that a little bit later on. But Lake Eufaula, I had one area where I needed it, and I didn't need it, but I was using it, and one area where it just didn't matter.
What was the difference between where
dirty water, clean water?
You needed it in clean or needed it in dirty?
Needed it in clean.
Didn't need it in dirty.
No.
I feel like it's such a good brush pile tool.
Yes.
Clean brush pile, dirty flipping.
Well, the dirty stuff was on the bank. So if you're going to use it in 6 inches of water, more power to you, but it ain't going to happen.
No, I don't know anybody who can use it in 6 inches,
No.
but I do think that there's guys who are good with it shallow.
Correct.
But
you have to change a lot of settings.
So is that I guess I've messed with the perspective quite a bit this year, and I've grown to really like that.
Perspective
shallow.
is fun. I've got the 360 on there. Granted, it's just another tool. It's not as instant as the perspective, but it definitely helps as far as for finding structure and stuff. Okay, Eufaula, Alabama. Day 2 of the tournament, I'm running to a brush pile. Not running, but I'm fishing my way up to a brush pile that I had on Waypoint. And 360, I look down at it. I'm 30, 40 yards from my brush pile that I know that I've got confidence in this brush pile. I see another one, and literally I'm 20 feet from the boat. The thing, or the brush pile, I'm 20 feet from it. The 360 had just scanned by it, and I was like, well, where the hell did that thing come from? And I said, uh-oh, backed the boat up, shined live scope over there, and made my cast, and saw the blip come out, and it was a 6 1/4, 6.5, something like that. So it's like, oh, I need to fish up to my brush piles. For some reason, I missed it on my electronics when I was side scanning the area.
Which brush piles?
You missed them.
On Hartwell especially. Correct. I don't know if it was cane or not, but them cane piles, it seems like they're easy to miss.
They are.
Yeah.
They're difficult to pick up on side scan or 360. If you know what you're looking for, you can pick them out. But that live scope definitely shows them.
Because was it cane
on
Eufaula or normal ones? Because
No,
the normal ones can be tough too.
It was just a low to the ground brush pile.
Sure.
And I think what probably happened with my Helix units that I was using for side scan, you would drop a pin and you're still idling, and your screen stops.
Yep.
And then when you drop your pin, because you got to move the cursor over there to the waypoint or to the brush pile, spot you want to mark or whatever, you hit your waypoint, you name it, or you do whatever, and you exit out of that, and then it picks up to where you currently are, and everything in between is not there. Now, there are
It's
other...
the best imaging there is, but that's my one gripe about them Helix units.
Correct. So my Helix unit is now solely for mapping and maybe a little 2D.
Because I heard Apex, with that new Apex, you can, kind of like Lowrance.
Very similar to the Lowrance. You can pop your Waypoint touchscreen, and it will pick you up where you left off. And I upgraded to a Apex on the console and an Apex for my 360 up front.
Yeah,
Yep.
that should help.
I'm hoping. I'm still behind the times when it comes to electronics, but for what I'm gonna do, it's gonna open up a little bit more for me.
Yeah.
And I'm cool with that. I don't need to be latest and greatest technology guy and all that stuff, because ultimately it's just tools. And I think my instinct or my gut is a bigger player. Obviously, decision making and all that stuff. Anybody can attest to that in any tournament scenario or any fishing scenario.
For sure.
Yep.
And I just interviewed Father Gill and Noah.
Okay.
And that Father Gill kid would be a really good example of probably the best live scoper I know.
He's
like personally
phenomenal. He's gonna be a handful in the opens this year.
I was gonna say, man, I really think he is gonna be a handful in the opens. But
I'm excited to see how his career goes and how the season's gonna go pretty well for him. He's got the confidence. He's proven himself in the college series and in
everywhere,
high school and all that stuff. And I'm excited to watch him.
My favorite thing about talking to him, just like anybody, is like, he'll be the first to tell you he does not rely on that thing.
You can't.
And
it's a tool. That's the point that I was trying to drive, and I'm not trying to cut you off here, but
no, you cut me off anytime.
It's a tool. Use it when you think you need it, or when things are struggling, or when you need to find something specific that you're targeting. And hopefully it's something specific that I'm targeting or you're targeting that nobody else is targeting, that type of deal.
Yep.
Use it then, and for the other times, just forget that it's there. Glance down at it, And that's what I did on that one brush pile scenario. I was just glancing down. I mean, I was focused on my waypoint, and I was headed there. And, I ended up catching a 3.5 off of that brush pile, but it wasn't nearly as cool as that 6-pounder that I caught just in the 20, 30 yards back off the one that snuck up on me. But yeah, it's a tool, damn it. Just use it. We're not going to get into the whole big debate, live scope, not live scope, all that stuff.
There's no debate to be had.
There isn't. It's a tool.
It's dumb debate.
It's like a fishing rod. You got one that you really, really like, and it suits you and it fits you. You use it when you're comfortable with it, and other than that, you're using something else for that scenario.
Right.
It's just a damn tool.
But and I've found it the easiest way for me to use it has always been making sure I make the right cast, and then using it to me, it's a good structure fishing tool as well.
You want a fun story about making the right cast?
Yes.
Remember that Leech Lake tournament a number of years ago? I probably shouldn't have said Leech Lake, but anyway, whatever. And Walls and I came in second place. We spent, my dumb ass, spent probably 45 minutes making the wrong cast. I was like, well, my arrow is pointed right here. My live scope on the way over to that area had bounced over just a little bit. Oh. And I didn't realize it. I couldn't see my lure. I could see the freaking fish.
Yep.
I couldn't see my lure. And I was like, what in the hell is going on? And then all of a sudden I'd get bit. And it's like, okay, well, I'm there. I'm just not seeing it for some reason. It's windy, whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
I picked the trolling motor up, and that thing is not anywhere close to where it should have been pointed. And it's like, oh, got it. So, if you're not paying attention to stuff like that, how good is the live scope? I wasted 45 freaking minutes.
Well, that tournament was probably the first tournament where I ever kind of got confidence in my active target at the time.
Sure.
Dana and I had won that Mille Lacs tournament.
Yep.
And it was the same pattern.
Okay.
On Mille Lacs, we had to use 2D.
Okay.
When we originally did it, it was so painful.
Yes.
But we were able to make it work. Dane actually figured that out. He's type A enough to get really precise with that stuff, and I was able to duplicate it. When we got the leech, remember I called Dane. I was like, dude, this is way easier than Mille Lacs. We have this shining thing that we can use, and we were able to.
Dane was pre-practicing all kinds of my juice that day, or in practice. I was like, get the hell out of here, dude.
We caught a few in that area. Yeah, it's a good area.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good area. It's a good area. But anyway,
Community, but still.
it is. That's why I don't like it as much. But
Correct.
I'll be curious how that Open shakes out.
Oh, I'm nervous about that
out
one.
there. Oh gosh, I don't care how well you know the lake. I feel like you're nervous. It doesn't matter. No,
not gonna matter.
no. 200 boats on that lake. Wind. With all the fish that have been moved to certain places of the lake from bigger tournaments, I feel like there's such a...
The entire lake is in play.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wild card.
Oh, it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
But I'm nervous. Ultimately, it's me against the fish, but the memories. You look at guys that have got so many good memories on their home body of water, if you will. And it's just like I had too much stuff to run to.
On Leech, you have way too much shit to run.
Years.
Do you think largemouth will play?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yes, sir.
10-4?
Absolutely. And that's probably giving up too much. Damn redemption and whiskey.
I don't think Fothergill's going to weigh one, but I think they'll play.
Fothergill probably won't.
Probably won't. Then you got the river. So two, because this year in the Opens, what was the closest one to us?
Probably Lake of the Ozarks.
So you got to be at least excited to get a little closer to home.
Yeah, between here and La Crosse, I'm stoked that I won't have to travel very much.
I'm just wondering if you can do what you and Walls did on Woman on St. Clair.
That'll be interesting. I've never been to St. Clair.
I haven't either.
I'm nervous, but I'm not overly nervous about that one because that's just going to be fishing.
Yep. Just fishing.
Yep.
Little subtle changes, little subtle...
Yep.
Yeah, everything's... You're dealing with a 6-inch rise, which is equal to like a 6-foot drop on any other lake.
Yes, sir.
It seems like a really fun lake to fish.
Should be a good time.
Big old washing machine.
Yep.
Yep. Big old whirlpool.
Yep.
Crankbait could play there too.
I think it might.
I forget where we were.
I have no clue.
I know you're like really good chatterbait fisherman.
I play with them a little bit.
You're really good at chatterbait fishing. So
You know who's better than I am?
Who?
Walls.
He's really good too.
That dude's a phenom with a frickin' chatterbug.
But yet you fish him completely different.
We do. Not even the same.
Well, that's what's crazy to me.
Isn't it dumb?
Is Walls, he does run your more standard Brett height chatterbait program, so to speak, and he's really freaking good at it. And I don't even know what the hell you're doing, but I know I like it. There's something to it.
It works when it works, and when it doesn't, man, it's like, okay, I've said this to myself when on the boat by myself, obviously in some of these opens. What would Walls do right now? And I change up my retrieve, and my God, if it doesn't work, it's like, thanks, Andy. Thanks.
Hey, we all have that, and I've got plenty of examples of that, but
Uh-oh.
So I'd
He's
heard
reaching.
about this fancy new, supposed to be all the hype in Japan. You can't get these baits.
So
They're sold out everywhere.
These 2 are for me, is what you're saying?
No, these 4 are for me.
4. So 2 for you, 2 for me.
Well, that depends, I guess, what you think of them, because what I know about these boys at Waypoint is I called them up like about a month or so ago. I said, hey, have you heard of this? It's called the Bass Puzzle Grass Piece.
Okay.
And I was
That's
like,
a
you can't
fun
get
name.
them anywhere. I was like, can you? So he called me up a month later. He's like, yo, we got some of those in. So like,
I've seen pictures of this thing. I just didn't realize what the name was.
Yeah, dude. So what I love about those guys is like when I can't get a bait,
Look
I
at
call
this
them
critter.
up and
Huh.
they get it for me. So it's like, I want to let everybody know that it's not just when I call, but like these guys at Waypoint, they will literally, if you can't get it, call them.
Have you played with it yet?
No, but
I'm sorry to cut your plug off here. But
no, this ain't a plug. This is honest. This is honest talk. I've saved this for you. So,
dang, dude.
The deal with this supposedly is
I like the head on it.
Oh yeah,
and the hook is sticky.
So a chatterbait, when you're ripping it and it drops,
correct,
it nosedives immediately. Yep. This bait flutters on the fall.
I can see that it would do that.
And it goes through grass really good supposedly, and you can reel it as fast as you want, and it doesn't
roll or do
kick
anything
out.
goofy.
Yep.
Okay.
So sometimes you want it to do goofy
sure.
stuff, right? But this would be, I guess, a very unique
cool.
offering. It's called, yeah, dude. So I'm excited. I guess I was gonna run it by you because when I looked at it, I'm like, Harris chain maybe?
Yeah.
Or, yeah, anywhere.
Yeah.
But supposedly, like, that 1/2 ounce is going to run like a 3/8 ounce jackhammer, and that 3/4 is going to run more like a
half.
More like a half. But
dude, I dig it.
But yeah, I
like
think
the
they got a
colors
few
you got,
more.
too.
But this is the one they had, and I said I'll take 2 of each size. But
For
like,
sure.
I don't know.
That's sporty.
It's kind of sporty. Yeah.
Have you run one through the water yet?
I haven't, but I've seen videos of it. It's pretty sexual.
And what are you going to run for a trailer on it?
Supposedly like a Jerky J or like a Fluke style trailer is
Weird.
the business.
Huh.
Yeah. So that's why I thought of you.
I don't know anybody that runs those Jerky J's. That's.
I said it for a reason.
I know you did.
I don't like it.
Really?
I can't figure out how to like it. I tried it.
You're kidding me.
Dude, the slits, it just doesn't like rig right.
Okay.
For me.
Okay.
I know that Jerky J does wild shit for you.
Yeah, I've been fairly successful with it.
Like, maybe you can tell me a little bit better because I
freaking thread it through the nose and run it out the back.
that's what I do.
Okay, you're fine.
Yeah.
Run it. Fish.
Okay.
Quit worrying about what it looks like. Just fish it.
Well, I just need to fish it more. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know. But what I do know is if you can't get a lure, these guys will get it for you.
That's fantastic.
So keep that in mind.
I
Down
certainly
south, they've overnighted me some stuff
Okay.
and whatnot. But
Good bunch of goose.
yeah, I can text Ross if you want some of these.
We'll talk about that off air.
He has a box.
We'll talk about that
but
off
there's
air.
probably like some left.
We'll talk about that
Yes,
off
sir.
air.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, because I mean, and here's the other thing. New baits are fantastic to play with. And you may gain an edge with that because it's something the fish probably haven't seen. But how many techniques are you actually going to do in a given day when in the tournament under the gun, under the time clock?
Somewhere between 2 and
You're going to
15.
You're going to fish your strengths first and foremost.
Mm-hmm.
If that's not working, you're going to pick something else up and try and gain some confidence in it. But you know how difficult it is to pre-fish on Derby Day?
I suck at it.
Yeah, I've done it, and I
seem to
do
be
it,
okay at it.
and I get lucky. Yeah, Lake Eufaula was a total pre-fish on Derby Day, day 1, and then I got clued in. Day 2 worked out okay as well.
So what's going through your head when you're saying those things? Because we're talking about giant bodies of water.
First of all, you have to be okay with not weighing a limit of fish. Do you want to not weigh a limit of fish?
Nobody's okay with that.
But you have to convince yourself that you're okay with it, and then you can try shit.
Yeah.
And I did a lot of that this year. It's like, okay, my stuff is not working. I need to pick up something that I'm not overly confident in and try it until it works and then run with it. As soon as you get clued into another little air quote pattern, if you will, or something that you get bit on not frequently, but occasionally, you can roll with it.
Sure.
And that happened on a few tournaments this year. St. Lawrence River was one of them.
Sure.
And I didn't have a remarkable finish on that.
You needed to run to the lake.
I know.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. But
I know you know that.
But I really didn't. I had an area that day 1 started there, and I spent 2 hours, and I could see the fish down there. But what had changed is, I think probably a day and a half prior, the wind was gassing out on the main lake. It was gassing everywhere. It was blowing. Oh, I'm not supposed to say that. My daughter's going to be mad. It was blowing really, really, really hard. And I think what that did is it stirred up a lot of the grass from the main lake, and it pushed it down through the river. The river runs 4 3/4 mile an hour current. At least that's what it was when we were there. And it was fun to play with.
I bet.
It was so cool. But anyway, so I'm fishing 20-ish feet of water. I pulled up to this spot in practice when it was windy, but there wasn't a ton of grass from the surface all the way down to the bottom. I dropped my trolling motor, and all I can see on the scope is grass. And with visually, there's just grass everywhere. It's grass on the surface. It's grass all the way to the bottom. And I just don't think they wanted to play ball that day. So I went and did something totally freaking different that I kind of sort of pre-practiced, but for like a half a day.
Shallower?
No.
Just different type of...
Same depth, I was out in the current. And I ran back to that start. No, I never did. I did not run back to that day one. Day two, I avoided that start area of day one. I went and did my thing, got a limit in the boat late because I had some mishaps. I straightened out a split ring. Yeah, on a good fish.
Supreme Lure Co. introduces a revolution in bass fishing with our triumphant trio, the Supreme Slug, Lil Slug, and Slaw. Leading the charge is the Supreme Slug, a legend revived after 2 decades. Its unique shape and built-in hook slot redefine tactical brilliance on the water, giving you an edge like never before. But the saga continues with the Lil Slug, a miniature powerhouse that mirrors the majesty of the Supreme Slug. Don't let its size fool you. It packs the punch needed to lure in those elusive bass. And for the ultimate bass feast, there's the Slaw, a craw representation with the same irresistible characteristics as the Supreme Slug. It's bass seduction at its finest, designed to trigger predatory instincts. Exclusively crafted for bass enthusiasts, Supreme Lure Co. brings you a trio that's not just baits, they're bass magnets. Supreme Lure Co. Cast in gold, reel in glory.
I'm guessing it wasn't small.
It wasn't small. It jumped, and my co-angler said it was knocking on 5, and I don't know whether it was or not, but it very well could have been 4 plus. Yeah, that one was. That would have helped.
For sure.
So with literally a half hour left to fish, I ran over to my start area, and there was a boat that was kind of hovering in that area both days of the tournament. I don't know how he did on day 1. I don't know how he did on day 2, but he got off of the spot. I rolled in, basically hit the anchor button because you're in a healthy current.
Yep.
And I made my cast, was just dragging my little tube and got bit. And it jumped off right next to the boat, and it was 4 plus. And I was like, okay, that's the quality that was on this spot. Within 5 minutes, I made another cast, felt weight, I felt it surge, I set the hook, and that was a 415. That's what was in that area. So had the conditions been right for that, I think I was on 20 plus pounds a day in that area. And I had to leave. I got that last fish in the boat, and I had to leave.
I think the weight record is held by Jay Shakur in that river.
Sure.
So it can be done. So I didn't mean like, hey, go out to the lake. It just...
Well, no, I needed to, and I should have.
Do you feel like the reason you didn't is because
I was scared.
Play it safe with
scared.
the points?
Yep. Not really the points. I was scared to make the run and the refuel, and didn't want to get caught behind a pile of other guys that are trying to refuel. And you know, you don't have to fill it all the way up. You just have to fill it up enough to get back to the freaking blast off. So,
but that would, I can attribute to that would be going through my head. I would be trying to maximize. Like if I'm in that position as Keith Tuma in going into that open on the St. Lawrence, which I hate to even say it, but that's kind of when the things started to go the wrong way for you this year, which a lot of people just started the wrong way and had a bad year or something. So not taking anything away from you, but I don't know how, if you're in Keith Tuma's position that tournament, how you grab your balls and run out to that lake, because one mishap can cost you the tournament.
I never practiced it.
Right.
I did my thing. I was given a couple of clues on that body of water out by the lake, and I didn't utilize them. A, I wasn't comfortable, and B, it wasn't me. It wasn't me doing it. It was kind of relying on somebody that had given me a couple of clues. So I wanted to do it my way. I was stubborn, and hindsight, I should have ran. I should have checked out a couple things. I should have expanded on it. There was so much water up there that could have been fished or could have been fishy, but I just didn't try it. And so I stuck to staying close, maximizing fishing time, and doing what I wanted to do.
Frank Sinatra that shit.
Something like that. I did it my way.
Yeah.
And it didn't work out the best, but I mean, I wasn't dead last. I think I came in 75th on that one with with like 34 pounds.
walk me through that 4.5 mile current and how you fish that, because we don't have a lot of 4.5 mile current where we're from.
So I thought of, you remember that very first tournament we had on the old Mississippi out of Wabasha? Did we launch out of Wabasha?
Yeah, that rainy one.
Yeah, where I blew up my motor.
Yep, high water, and the largies were just about to do their thing, and then we had a bunch of rain and cold weather, and it really helped our smallmouth bite. I remember that one.
Yeah, we never, Walls and I never practiced anything. We were running to 7. We had stuff dialed.
That's where we went.
I'm sure.
That was a September tournament you're talking.
It was
Spring?
a May tournament.
Oh, I wasn't there then. Running down to 7 from Wabasha?
Where the hell did we launch out of? We had to launch out of.
It was Wabasha, which is 4.
No, not Wabasha. Where did we launch out of on that one? We launched in 6.
Yeah, so you're thinking the September one.
No, it was spring.
Oh, well, then I didn't fish that one.
We launched out of 6. Where the hell is 6?
That's down by Winona.
Winona, that's what I'm thinking.
We had a September tournament down there that Savick won.
Yes.
We took second.
No, okay.
And we locked down to 7.
Okay, we stayed on that one, the September tournament, we stayed in 6.
Yep. So did Savick. They won.
Yeah.
Winning bag came out of 6.
So it was the very first year of the MNBN.
Okay, so I didn't fish then.
Oh,
This
okay.
is pre-teal fishing. Okay,
Gotcha.
So you guys must have been down there.
We were in 7. Yeah, we were in 7 practicing. We practiced very little
like
in
7.
in 6. 7's fun.
Oh, it's so fun.
Anyway, and we were making our run.
Yep.
And we got within sight of the lock and blew my motor up. I got a load of bad gas. That was in the stroker.
That's right. I remember this story, actually.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, like jack plate all the way down. We were half trim, still running 98 mile an hour. That thing was setting to, it was going to run a number that day,
Yeah.
but I just wanted to take it easy. Anyway, we were boat 1 too.
Because you guys were ready to basically be down past the lock eating a sandwich.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys were fixing to.
So pop the motor, get off the main channel and call Pete, tournament director, and said, hey, we blew my motor, blah, 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 blah. Don't know what to do. Oh, wait, Walls just caught a 3.5 pound smallie. We're going to fish. And I'm going to fire this motor up and I'm going to run it 4.5 mile an hour into the current back up. And we're going to fish our way back up. We stayed main channel all day long, fishing little nooks and crannies and anything and whatever. And we had 13 and change pounds. It's not what we were hoping for, but we survived it.
Yeah.
We freaking survived it. And we ended up team of the year that year, I believe.
Sure.
But
yeah, you
survived it.
Right. Well, that was the year before we fished, I think.
Sure.
I think. So that 4.5 mile current?
It was ripping. I don't know if it was 4.5.
Maybe I have fished it. I have fished heavy current, but I never speed tested it.
Yeah, I didn't either until I was drifting on the St. Lawrence. And it's like I looked down at my GPS and I was like, I'm with 4.3 mile an hour. This is dumb.
See, it's one thing on the river when we're fishing, 3 to 5 feet of water, but when you're telling me you're fishing 20 feet of water,
Yeah.
that's cool.
It was neat.
So, like, I know there's guys who say, like, the drift fishing, where you're vertically moving with the current at 4 miles an hour. That's a thing.
That.
No, I would have a tendency to want to 45 up and sweep or go straight up. But I got to imagine there's a lot of different ways to skin that cat.
I was going with the current.
You were throwing down current?
Bringing my,
And bringing it up?
yeah. Completely bass backwards from what anybody should have been doing.
Yeah, that is that because everybody fishes that and they're so used.
I was the only boat on this stretch, and it was like a 4 mile stretch. But
why'd they want it that way?
I don't know. But they were eating the shit out of it. I mean, not giant fish, because I only weighed in 34 for 2 days, 16, 12 one day, 17 and a half the next. But because I couldn't rely on my normal juicy spot.
Right.
And so I went and somewhere fairly close. I knew there was fish in the area, and I was like, I'm just going to try this. I had nothing in the boat, and my first fish was a 4 1/4 day one. I was like, oh, okay, this is a deal.
Yeah.
And then I figured out that deal during the tournament. I pre-fished during the tournament, except for the end of day 2, and then I went back to my original start spot and missed that one, and then caught that 414.
But like, you can be sitting there And you can throw up current, you can throw side current, you can throw down current.
Correct.
Did you do all of that, or did you
No.
hone in on down?
I threw down current, retrieving into the current because I could do it that way and the lure would work better.
Noted.
And it was just
That
something.
makes sense.
Yeah, it was something that I tried for an hour on that half a day of practice prior to the tournament. And it's like, okay, this is going to work.
Well, Walls has brought something up to me that this is the only thing that makes sense to me with that is like how a fish wants their food.
These
kind of
fish were
thing.
coming up off the bottom in 18 to 23 feet of water, and my lure was 6 to 8 feet down. And when they'd hit it, it would just stop, and all of a sudden, poof, they'd come out of the water a couple feet. It was great.
Okay, now I'm like wondering, okay, so like I learned a little trick from Brian Wick on the river by Monticello, where we would sit up current. This is wintertime fishing. I've tried to make this happen elsewhere, and I have not been able to.
Okay.
But where you sit above the seam, you throw down current to the seam with the jerk bait,
Sure. And
and you just
yeah.
you don't need to move your reel,
But
all day till one eats it.
correct. I've done that wader fishing by Monticello.
That's
Yeah.
where I've seen that work. Was
Yeah.
it? And what? Because I've heard a little tube. I heard you talking about a little tube on St. Lawrence, and then
Yeah, that was in that other spot.
other spot.
Yeah.
Okay, not the 6-8 feet down. Was that a jerk bait?
No,
Spy bait?
no, crankbait.
What?
Is your mind blown?
I just think that's cool, man.
It was-
I just think that's super cool.
It was so stupid. And my co-angler was like, "What in the hell are you doing right now?" And he tried it, and he unfortunately couldn't make it work. And yeah,
Are you willing to talk about like the crankbait at all?
it was just a crankbait.
Yeah, dude. But okay, crankbait's crankbait. I get that. But were you retrieving it back?
Retrieving it into the current as I'm drifting towards my cast. I'm drifting
I
at
could
4
see
miles
how
an
a
hour.
crankbait doesn't work. Throwing up current, 4.5 mile current. Now it's starting to.
Correct.
Sorry, I'm a little slow. It's
No,
starting
that's
to come
okay.
together here.
Well, you're getting information out of me, and nobody's going to use it because I had come in 75th place. It was
Well,
a
right.
It was a go get a frickin' limit, and hopefully the grass cleared out. And I didn't honestly that day one. I didn't have my. I made a couple of calls, but I was on fish, and there was fish there, and I'd see them chasing it up, or I'd see them swimming. Even in that current, you could see the fish swimming behind and below that frickin' crank, and it's like, okay, there's fish in the area, and they're decent. I knew 17-ish pounds a day was possible doing that, and I didn't think that guys were going to crush them like they did. But lesson learned, that's another hindsight one.
Well, St. Lawrence, I mean, that's.
I get it. It's also an 80-mile run or 85-mile run to the mouth to the.
Would not blame you. Don't blame you one bit for not making that run. And
Right.
hindsight is
Yeah.
always 20/20, as we know.
And there's big ships, big barge ships that run that, and boy, they throw a big wave, especially when they're going against the current.
Yeah.
And when they're coming with the current, they're throwing a big wave too. Don't get me wrong, but those rollers are residual for a half a mile past them. It's insane. So I mean, you're cutting into a lot of fishing time by running. And the guys that rolled the dice and did that obviously capitalized and did well.
But how
But they
much
weren't-
fishing time do you have?
A couple hours, a few hours. But that's all you need when you have that confidence.
If it's that easy to catch 20 to 25 pounds, I guess in 2 hours.
I'm not
it's
going to
just, I don't-
say I'm not going to say easy, but they were that dialed in and committed to those areas.
Right.
So they knew that they were really, really under the gun. That's why I left myself. I ran 20 minutes
Sure.
tops. I did make a 40-minute run day one, and I picked up a key jerkbait fish on. It was a rock and grass flat basically, and I knew there was some decent fish there. And that one was, I don't know, 3 1/4, 3 1/2, something like that. It was a key fish for me at that point.
Sure.
And yeah, but
I think that the craziest thing about this scope thing is how much of the lake it's opened up. Like we fished a
we're back
tournament
to
on
scoping. Okay.
Well, I mean, whatever. I mean,
it's cool.
we fished a tournament on Pokemon. The
Sure.
top 2 teams, I mean, probably had the whole lakes themselves, right? And that's all I'm going to say about that.
Okay.
But I'm just curious, like, what you've learned with that fishing down south, because to me, the suspended fish deal is definitely a thing down south, St. Lawrence, everywhere.
I have not done these fish on the St. Lawrence. They were tucked to the cover. They were on bottom. They weren't suspended. They were feeding up, though. And when I
ways up,
it's chin clear water.
Right,
I don't think
right.
you can't really explain. I mean, okay, so Gull Lake, you've got really good clarity. You can see 16, 18 feet down on the right day, but it's darker bottom. St. Lawrence, there's a lot of sand, gravel, stuff like that. I mean, you can literally see 20 feet down, and pick out what you're looking at. It's like the best way to describe it would be like looking down a glass bottom boat. It's gin freaking clear. It was cool. One of the neatest places I've been to.
For sure. I guess I've never heard about the crankbait. Like, what's cool about talking to you, and I think I've heard this about Keith Tuma maybe more than any other individual of the people like who fished with you. Like, what the fuck is this guy? We're going to do this for... And apparently, like,
I get stubborn,
dude. You are creative. Like, you're creative, and it's a very unique style. Like, just talking to Walls, talking to you, and like, I think that's the most beautiful thing about fishing. But you are a crackhead, and you're a crazy bastard, dude, and I love that. And
that gets back to the whole thing. You have to be okay with not coming in with a limit.
But what makes you think to do some of that crap?
I don't know. I mean, I probably get that from the days when I used to fish with Eric Ahlstrom. That dude would do some really weird stuff.
Yeah.
And loved it, except for when it really counted. It's like, no, do this. Don't do that weird shit.
Okay. See, that's kind of some of the stuff I want to get into, like that crankbait on live scope thing. Everybody says
it's tough, but you can do it.
Well, there's a lot of ways to do a lot of things, but you figure out that set of tools that works for you with live scope, right?
Yes.
And a crankbait is one of those.
Yep.
What have you learned any other little live scope tricks that are...
If you can see your bait.
Yep.
I would say the biggest thing with the live scope is knowing where to cast to see your bait, or how to manipulate your bait so that you get a good look at it with a jerk bait. Look at Patrick Walters. The dude he's insane. I've spent a day with him on Lake Norman years ago.
Cool.
And it was eye-opening and very, very interesting.
What are some things you learned fishing with him on Norman?
Oh, dude. Just how to manipulate the trolling motor so that you're constantly seeing, this is jerkbait specific on this deal. You're constantly manipulating the trolling motor, not a bunch, but to see the jerkbait if you just left the trolling motor alone, you would lose sight of it. Yeah, it's darting and doing its thing.
So
he's constantly moving his trolling motor back and forth. Sure. Just very, very minimal. And it's tough to do with these power-driven trolling motors these days. It's tough.
Right.
But it's an art, and that dude's got it mastered.
He's one of the better scopers of all time.
Yeah.
And hearing how he practices and how he breaks down water. Walls was talking to me a little bit about that. That's super fascinating to me.
Yes.
And I guess have you picked up on a little bit of that? Because those lakes are big, dude.
They're giant. Yeah. Well,
and if you can
look at Okeechobee, 470-some thousand acres.
That lake sounds like the worst lake to bass fish,
and it's
of all time.
It's going to be 3 or 4 spots.
Well, that's just it, dude. I have no desire to go to Lake Okeechobee.
I have to.
I know you do,
and I've never been there.
If there's somebody who I think could figure something out down there, it's you. Because in a crowd, I don't
do good right on a crowd. That's the problem.
Well, then maybe not.
All right.
But you'll be doing something different, though. That to me is
maybe
figure out that little different.
It maybe. I don't know.
What I know is that you put Keith Tuma on a grass flat against everybody else, he's going to be doing something usually quite a bit different.
And that's my hopes, is that I can go fish it like some of the lakes I fish up here. Yeah. That's what I'm hoping. And remember, in the beginning of this whole deal, we said, okay, you can make a plan and you can say, here's how I'm going to do this. And it's going to be like, oh, no, that's not going to work. You're going to have to do it the way these people do it. And I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah,
but
dude.
Got to go into it with being okay to not weigh a limit.
Which is so hard to do when you're literally fishing for points, and that's what you're fishing for.
Agreed 100%. I had 4 fish day 2 on Toledo Bend for 13 and change pounds. I had one good one. I dumped a massive one. And there used to be pictures, but I had a cigar in my face, so they had to delete the pictures. But my rod bowed up so hard, I knew it was an 8+. I just knew it. Because that's what was in that area.
Giant.
Oh my God, dude. And it bit right, and it was carrying, and I set the hook, and it stopped, and I was like, oh God. And then all of a sudden the rod just unloaded. It just did not get the hook. So it had the bait in such a manner that the hook didn't penetrate and come out or hook the fish. So whatever, it happens.
It does.
Yep.
Life
but
happens.
that was on the tail end of that whole deal. So
Sure.
So I weighed in 4 fish that day, and I blanked day 3. Straight up blanked.
On Toledo?
Yeah.
Oh.
And I'm proud of it. Because
I love that. Yes.
So that's what I'm saying. The mentality, you have to be okay with not weighing a limit. There was a couple other tournaments where I don't think I weighed a limit on one of the couple days, and it's okay, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's freaking K.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't define me as a person.
Doesn't define you as an angler.
No.
No.
And you can technically or theoretically or evidently still catch a top 10 by not weighing a limit both days if you do it right one day.
Right. That's
the other mistake I made on that one. Day 1, I fished that area for an hour and 20 minutes. Sorry. I rolled up there with 1 14 1/4 incher in the box at like 11 o'clock, and I was gone at 12:30. Gone. That was my other mistake. I should have beat it to the ground.
I don't know how I'd manage that. I haven't fished enough multi-day events to know how to manage any of that.
That's a big part of it.
Yeah.
But hindsight, knowing that I wasn't going to weigh in a limit, day 2, now
Burn it.
I should have. I think my small fish that day was a 2 3/4. The next one up was like a 3 3/4, and then I had a 4, a 5 something, and then an 8, and then the 9.5. And the 9.5 was the first big one I caught, and the 8 was the second one, like back-to-back casts within 10 minutes. And literally it was like the next cast. I had to sit down in the front of the boat for 10 minutes and calm myself down. I was shaking bad. I kept saying to myself, that just happened. Holy crap, that just happened. That was the 9.5. And then my next cast was like, there's an 8 something. I was like, that just happened? Are you kidding me right now? I had, no clue. And then I caught that 5, and then I left, or a 4 something, high 4s, and I left. Thinking I'm going to save it for day 2. The wind changed, and some other things changed.
So you call out one more 2 3/4, and it's like, oof.
Yeah, dirty 30.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I was 28-14 that day.
Right.
Yep.
Fuck.
It was something else.
I've never caught a fish that big in a tournament.
That was my biggest tournament bass ever. That was my biggest tournament bag ever.
Dude, it's so cool.
It was awesome.
And you still top 10'd it.
Yes. Yep.
To your point.
I came in 10th place with 9 fish.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I got lucky. But I had some opportunities day 3. I hadn't frog fished at all. So I went to an area where it's like, oh, this looks good on the map. And went and was like, oh my God, this is froggy. And I went and whipped a frog around, and I had some gar swipe at it. And then I had a bass swipe at it, and I pulled it away. And then I missed one flipping because I hadn't done very much of that to this point, and like punching grass and straight whiffed it. And then I dumped one right at the boat that was probably 3.5, 3 3/4 at the end of the day on a crankbait. And I was like, well, there's my day. It's okay.
Fish down there get so much more pressure than up here,
Dude,
right?
All of it.
Like, I want to talk a little bit about that because, like,
They still bite, though.
they still bite.
And that's the crazy thing. They still bite.
But there's they don't. It's not as easy as a dumb fish.
We're spoiled up here.
Super spoiled.
Yeah. And I think that's another hurdle that a lot of these open guys that haven't fished a lot of the northern lakes are going to run into when we come up north is, dang, it's almost too easy.
It's fun.
It's so much fun. I love catching fish.
Me too.
Yep.
And yeah, golly, the fact that you have to corral and fight for a limit like you guys do down there,
Yeah.
it's just like fish tournament in Minnesota. It's not that way.
No, I mean,
I had one this year that could have been definitely that
I've
way.
blanked on tournaments up here or come in with short of a limit as well. It happens, but I think that at that point a guy is probably swinging, and you're
for
either
sure.
hero or zero, and that's the mentality.
I've tried to take that mentality on more.
It sometimes it pays and sometimes it doesn't, but you have to be good with it when it doesn't,
Right.
and not beat yourself up too much. You learn from it, and it's like, okay. And I think that's what separates a lot of where I was at to the next level.
Sure.
Is those guys need a limit, and so they're going to do something, whether it's go uber finesse or go uber power, and they're going to get that limit of the boat. Then they're going to go back to their game plan where they're really comfortable.
For sure.
Yep.
Did you throw a frog much this year besides Toledo? Because you're a good frog fisherman. I know it.
Only when I was playing around up here on my off time.
Sure.
That's it.
I want to. Are you willing to share any little frog tricks today?
Sure. What do you want to talk about?
I want to learn about frogs. I suck at it, dude.
Just throw it.
Well, yeah. I mean,
What are we looking at?
See that black one that's hanging? Yep.
The one on the wire
Grab
thing.
that. Yep. Grab
Okay.
that.
I gotta get off here. You're making me do this, and I'm drunk.
You're not.
This thing?
Nope. Down. We're not allowed to grab. Nope. Left. Yep. Yep.
Oh, the tackle.
Oh, he knows what it is. Okay.
You got it wired on there, and it's not gonna come off.
Okay. Well, I tried. You ever throw that one?
No. Let me get my ears back on so I can actually feel like I'm a part of this podcast instead of your slave. All right, here we go.
I'll be your slave. Just tell me what to grab.
Yeah, no, I've never thrown that.
Okay. What do you like for frogs? Are you Spro man like Andy?
No. I've got some now because I'm going to need them, hopefully, on a tournament. But I like the live targets, and
I like live targets too. Yeah.
I like the 13 frog.
Okay.
Yeah. They're discontinued now, but
Right.
I got a pile of them, and they're a badass frog. Really
Cool.
good hooks, and they come through the stuff good.
What about a swimming frog?
As far
A
as
soft.
like a buzz toad? Yes. Yes. Always tied on. Yep.
No one really throws that.
Oh, dude. Lots of guys throw it.
A horny toad
Okay.
on a buzzbait or just a straight horny toad, but
I throw the fire, and I know a lot of guys that throw the fire out of like a Stanley ribbit, let's just say. And
That's
or
old
the bull ribbit. Or the top toad that they came out with too.
bull ribbit.
Yeah.
That's the
It's the big Stanley.
giant one.
Well, it's not giant, but it's big.
It's a big fucker.
It's no
One you
bigger
need the
than.
double hook for?
Yeah, I'll throw the double hook on it.
Cool.
Yeah. Throw them, dude. They've got their place.
I just started throwing this one,
Okay.
and I like it.
Okay. Do the fish like it?
They do.
Do they like it the way you're retrieving it?
Yes.
Okay, good. So then you're on the right game plan.
Well, it's like I'm retrieving it like I would what we're talking about, that buzz toad. But it's like what I like about this is, well, I throw a whopper plopper. I don't know if you throw a whopper plopper much.
Oh my God.
I don't throw a lot of whopper plopper, but
I own numerous of them. I'm trying to think if I've ever caught a fish on one, and I throw them. That's the messed up part. And I'll vary my retrieve, and I will do all kinds of other stuff. And for some stupid reason, I can't get bit very well or consistently on a whopper plopper. And I know of numerous tournaments that have been won on the things.
I agree with you consistently. But there seems to be windows where I can catch big ones on it.
Sure.
But what I hate about it is where I want to throw it is too grassy, right?
Sure.
This thing has like the same sound.
Yep.
So that's what I like about it is you can whopper plop through the shit
Okay.
and then stop it if you need to. But,
Yes. There's something to that.
Yeah. Everybody's got little things,
Little
I guess.
quirkies, yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I just like a standard old frog. You mean a walking frog?
Yeah, absolutely. There's different tricks to a frog too. Like talking to like good frog fishermen.
Okay.
It's like you don't just walk it like the live target one. You got like that little spit to it.
Yeah.
It seems to have like versus like others, I guess. And maybe we're getting too deep and nerdy, but
No. Keep going.
I am not the one who should be talking about a frog, though, Keith. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
But you are.
But I am.
And
but
I'm trying to stay tight-lipped, but I will answer the right question or the
well, let's change the fucking subject. Then.
No, dude, it's all good. I love throwing a frog. That is one of my go-to things, except for on all these southern lakes. I don't get to throw a frog a lot.
Right.
I have, and it just hasn't worked out. Toledo, I mean, yeah, it was the right mix. I mean, it reminded me of fishing back up here. And it's just that the area was loaded with gar, and there was an occasional bass that swatted at it, and I screwed up.
Do you trailer your big outboard? Then you need the MyWedge motor support. MyWedge keeps even the heaviest motors safe and secure on the trailer. And talk about easy. Up with the motor, on with the MyWedge, back down, ready to roll. And MyWedge is built to last. It won't rot, it won't split, it won't fail. Guaranteed. Pop on MyWedge centering clips for lateral stability and you're good to go. MyWedge, security in a snap. To order yours, go to mywedge.com.
And it's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah,
It's okay.
It's okay.
Well, fuck frogs.
No, I love frogs. Don't do that.
I don't. No, I don't like them. I don't like them.
I do a few things different as far as the little tails, if you will, the strands that come off the back. I do some stuff to there to alter them, and I've got a theory that we don't really need to get into. But
why?
I think that if you leave it a certain way, they'll clamp down before they get the hooks. Oh boy. Anyway.
No, not anyway. You need to explain yourself now because I'm stupid and confused.
All right, I trim the tails.
Well, who doesn't?
I trim them short.
How short?
Not that short to where they're sticking straight out, but short to where I feel like if the fish senses something, let's say by its crushers, it's going to be more apt to either clamp down or spit. So if those tails are like they are out of the box when they're 4 or 5 inches long, I think the fish will clamp down before it gets a lot of the hook really, really good. And a lot of fish pull off.
I think there's something to the shortness on just my ability to walk it. So
There is.
Having one side a little
I do one
longer
side
than
a
the
little
other.
bit longer, like
Yep.
about a half inch, yeah.
That makes sense. I don't know why you couldn't give that up.
No, that's, I mean, hell, Greg Hackney gave that up on numerous lakes, but
Right.
yeah. But it's just, a lot of people, there's so much information out there, and there's so many little fine-tuning, the lure this, the lure that, tricks that go, okay, somebody brings it up, and then you forget about it.
Oh, yeah.
And if things are forgotten about, works out for some people that remember that shit.
For sure. And
That's all.
And what I like about fishing...
And now we're keying in on that, and so people are going to remember.
It's 3 hours long. They might forget.
No, they're going to
They're
remember.
drinking whiskey, too.
I
Well, if
hope
they're
so.
smart, they'll remember.
I think that's mandatory. All the listeners should be drinking whiskey during these podcasts.
You heard it here first.
First.
Well, I'm sure some do.
I guarantee it.
Okay.
What else you want to hit me with?
I want to hit you with finesse now.
I do not, and this is bad. I do not finesse a lot.
Okay.
There very rarely will you see me with a spinning rod. I've got them, and they're rigged, but very rarely will you see me pick one up and put it to use.
Was it a factor for you this year?
Finesse? Mm-hmm. No.
Cool.
Yeah. I'm trying to think how many fish I caught on a spinning rod this year that I weighed. Give me a minute.
Take your time.
None.
None. You almost qualified for the elites without catching a single bass on a spinning rod.
Everything was baitcaster.
Okay.
Lightest line, 15 pound.
Now, that's wild.
Yeah.
Now, what if you just would have picked up a fucking spinning rod this year, Tuma?
I don't know. I don't know.
Because you've done the math how close it was.
Yeah, few points.
How many bass?
Oh,
2?
I don't know.
1?
No, way more than that.
5 bass away?
Had I come in 100th place, which is not a big goal, on Lake of the Ozarks instead of 138th, you'd be talking to an elite qualifier right now.
And what was the weight difference between you and 138th and 100th? Off the top of your head.
2 pounds. So a 2 pound, maybe 3 pounds, a 2 to 3 pound fish on either. I don't think I weighed a limit. No, I weighed a limit day. No, a limit both days on Lake of the Ozarks would have put me in the elites. That's the one where I tripped and fell. So practice. I roll up to a spot, drop the trolling motor, and it's a obvious spot. And literally the 360 had an inch on the screen. I made a cast with a jig, and it was offshore stuff. Jig hit bottom. I felt a thump. I set the hook, and I was like, there's no way this is a bass. This is a catfish. It is just pulling and pulling and pulling. And it was in excess of 6 pounds. And I unhooked it, took a picture, put it back, and left. Never explored. Didn't want anybody to see me idling around out there. Nothing. I don't know if somebody saw me or if they were coming to it, but 5 minutes after I left, another boat rolls in. That dude and me were the only 2 boats that started there. It literally started there, and he was trying to get right where I was sitting.
You and Jack Sparrow.
Right. And I caught a few short fish there. His co-angler pulled like a 12.5-inch spot. They were 40, 50 yards from me at that point. And I caught short fish there. That was my decoy fish. And that set me up for my practice where I was concentrating on something that there was fish, but the finding something that was bigger than 14 inches was the issue. I had fish.
Bar, right?
No, this is Lake of the Ozarks.
Ozarks, yeah.
Yeah, Watts Bar was tough too.
Same thing.
I did a lot of shaking off of fish after I figured out what they wanted to do and where they wanted to be. I just went through areas, folded over hooks and no hooks, and just shook fish off. And it's like, well, it feels like a decent one, but it's so hard to tell. You don't know really unless you're jacking them. And I think a lot of other guys were jacking them. Like I'd go through areas and shake off.
Bar Ozarks, no.
This is Bar.
Yep.
Watts Bar. I'd go through areas, and then there'd be 8 or 10 boats that'd roll through after me, and they'd be catching them, and I was like, wow, shit, I screwed up. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's such a fine line of when to set the hook, when not to set the hook, when to have a hook, when not to have a hook. A lot of these lakes fish so freaking small, and they're so freaking big. So right. You go through and you try and catch absolutely everything in hopes that they're going to bite again or they're going to be in the area come tournament day, or do you shake them off in the hopes that not everybody's going to catch everything? Now, all these areas that I went through on Watts Bar, I caught fish, but to find one that was 14 and a 16th inches instead of 13 and 15 sixteenths was tough. It proved tough.
That seemed to be it seemed like the population was against every angler in
Correct.
That one.
But I had limits both days on that.
You did?
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think, like I said, 58th place on that one. Of the 9 tournaments last year, I think I cut a check in 5.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Proud of you.
It was awesome.
I'm proud of you, man. I'm proud of you. But talk to me. Let's go back to those decoy fish. Because,
okay, decoy fish on Lake of the Ozarks.
Yes.
So that set me up.
Why are they decoy fish?
I think they were moving so much. And I didn't pick up on it because everywhere I went and tested this for the next 2 days, 3 days of practice, I would get bit. And when I would check one, it was a 2.5 to 3 pounder. And all I needed to do on that one was survive it. And by survive, I mean like a 70th or better is what my goal was on that one. Obviously, I wanted 50th place or better,
right?
But I would have totally settled for a 70th or better. And it just went away. There was still fish out there in that deeper realm. I'm talking 18 to 23 feet of water.
It seems deeper than most guys were fishing.
Correct. They were beating the bank, beating the docks,
yep.
Certain areas, things like that. Now my buddy that I was rooming with, he had a completely different deal going on, and I went and checked that area checked that pattern in a different area. And it was happening, but it wasn't any better fish than what I was finding out. And that was a you had to commit type of thing. Like you were stuck there. where my deeper stuff that I had found, I could go anywhere
Sure.
and make it happen.
Huh.
Or catch fish anyway. And it just went away. I think the bigger fish that were out that deep slid up. And I didn't make the adjustments.
Well, you and I have talked about this before in the fall, winter months.
Correct.
On them southern lakes.
Yep.
When them shad tend to...
Do their thing. Yep. But this was what was that, September?
Right.
And it shouldn't have been. They should have been where
you
I
were.
found them the second day of practice. And I didn't factor in that they were sliding.
Well, you don't know what you don't know.
Correct. And that's why I say decoy fish.
Right.
And it stuck me into that. And then the fact that I was catching fish consistently. I mean, I could roll up anywhere in that depth range on the right stuff and get bit. And I caught a pile of fish, just not enough way fish.
I think weather played into that because I know, like for Dane and I on Hartwell, we had
You guys had the 2 days of fog delays.
Correct. And we had a really good practice and we had a really good pattern going, but the weather definitely changed.
Yes.
And we didn't.
Well, you had,
There wasn't a largemouth bite to be had tournament day.
Correct.
Is basically what that boils down to.
yeah, you had oodles of rain too.
In practice, which they liked the rain in practice.
Until it starts draining off
Correct.
of the land.
Yeah. And there was a morning window,
Yep.
no matter what. And then if you had inclement weather, those fuckers would bite.
Sure.
But if you didn't have if you didn't have a morning window and you didn't have inclement weather,
See,
you need to be live scoping spots, apparently.
I fished the fire out of Hartwell this past year.
I bet you've learned a lot.
I have, with my buddy Derek, who I'm rooming with. He's a hammer. He fished against you guys during that tournament you're talking about.
Did he?
He did.
What's his last name?
I can't say that on air.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Derek Lentinen.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Square bill.
He's a dude.
I like that spot he was fishing and banging. He's making the same cast for like 3 days straight, right?
That's my boy.
I think it's gangster. That's what I tried to go kind of make happen down there. We weren't able to make that bite happen, but we figured out a couple other things. But
That stuff got washed out for him during that tournament. He couldn't make it happen either.
I was gonna say I was looking for him because I knew we were fishing against him, and I don't remember how he fared or if did he adjust to spots because he's a local out there.
Did not adjust.
Why would you?
He's
top
stuck.
3 teams.
Correct.
Why would you?
He swung.
Yeah,
Him and his partner, they swung.
that makes me feel a lot better once you know that. So
Yep.
thank you for that
Yep.
because I was questioning.
He went out
Everything
there
after that
that tournament, I think for the next 2 weeks and won everything he fished on that lake.
God, we were
Once
so close.
once things settled down.
So
His-
his opinion is that mud pushed him out.
Yeah.
Yeah, we tried to move out with him, but
Yeah.
I don't.
It's tough. Once they get out of their comfort zone, they're just going to go lethargic, what I think.
Right.
And that's such a weird lake, but I've spent a
such
ton
a
of time
weird
on it.
lake.
Yeah. But you want to talk about, we were talking about southern lakes getting a ton of pressure. That lake specifically, and I'm sure it happens on a lot of other ones, but that one, I cannot believe the number of tournaments that are had on that lake.
It's insane.
There's 2 or 3 tournaments every weekend, it seems like, all year long.
Right.
It's crazy. And
Totally.
the guys still catch them. Guys consistently catch them.
The amount of spotted bass in that lake is sheer insanity.
It is.
The amount of probably 18 to 20 pound spotted bass bags swimming in that lake compared to what people will ever catch.
Swimming versus catching, yes.
Right. Like, there's probably, 20 pounds of spots to be caught every day for the next however many years you don't do it.
If you get lucky.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what the spot thing felt like. That's why they're so damn hard to target.
Correct.
Because you had some spotted. I guess, what's some other stuff you've learned on Hartwell since we talked last? Like,
That whole cane pile thing, and then some other stuff, and some really, really cool stuff.
yeah.
We got one coming up in October on Hartwell.
Oh, you're my pick for
And
that. You and
no,
Fothergill.
no.
are my- No,
Fothergill's going to do phenomenal. Derek's going to do good. I'm going to stay clear of Derek. I've already told him that. As soon as the schedule is released, I said, if you're fishing all 9 next year, I'm staying clear of you and your deal. I will find something else. So I don't know how I'm going to fare on that one.
But you figured out a similar
I did.
So I don't think that's fair.
That's one of his key areas that I figured out. That Walls and I figured it out when we were down there practicing. But yeah.
Well, I understand staying out of there, but there's lots of areas like that.
There is. And I will do it somewhere else. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Or I'll do something totally different. Because I did some playing on my own out there, and I steered clear of what I knew was working at the time. And I went and forced myself to practice a whole bunch of other stuff. And it's like eye-opening. Wow.
Well,
I probably,
there's largemouth in other parts of the lake.
they're everywhere.
I don't know about everywhere, but
They're everywhere.
oh, man. Well, I think that's super just interesting. Those largemouth, them herring fish. I mean, it's
That's
just
that's a factor all in its own.
it's a mind. You know what?
Yes.
Do you need a refill, Mr. Redemption?
Oh, we're gonna give it just a minute or two.
I appreciate that.
You know, the clock back behind me still says 5 o'clock, and probably for a reason. So, I mean, we haven't been on too terribly long, but I do need to drive this evening.
I need you to drive this evening.
I've got water over here. I'm good for now.
Okay.
Thank you, though.
No problem.
What else you want to cover, man?
I mean, I want to cover it all.
Okay.
I want to cover all of it.
I want to try and get as much information here as possible that makes a good show for you,
dude,
and the listeners.
At the end of the day, it's just good to see you, buddy.
Uh-huh.
And
I agree.
We can talk fishing. We can talk there's no rules in the galaxy. It's literally.
Are we a guardian of the galaxy?
You know,
Everybody you've had on, and I hate to steal the movie, but everybody you've had on has to be a galaxy guardian, correct?
they're a bastronaut of some sort.
Bastronaut.
A bastronaut of some sort. And at the end of the day, there's no rules in the galaxy besides that no Skype. That's the only rule.
Absolutely. You know what we should do?
What?
We should get a couple of plugs in. You've never asked me about, partners that I'm going to be working with this year yet, and people that I've reached out to help out with a little thing here or thing there. And
well, I mean, all plugs aside, I did hear you were telling me about this worm you're liking.
Is it a worm or is it something else?
It might be considered a slug.
A slug?
A slug for money.
Yes.
Yes.
So I'm working with Supreme Lure Company this year, and probably for the next several years, because, man, they make a phenomenal product.
What I like about you working with these guys is it started, though, that you weren't working with them.
I wasn't.
You're just digging it.
I was digging it, and then, yes, that's a sexy
These
color,
are the
isn't it?
little ones. I got some big ones somewhere, but...
Yeah, buddy.
They used to make this. Berkeley used to make this bait.
Yep.
I've got a pack of the old red shad ones still, 100 pack that I got from the Berkeley outlet, but I've been super reluctant to talk about these on the podcast, but I think what's cool about these guys is it's a small business.
It is.
Cal's a super good dude.
Phenomenal dude.
And they deserve the sales because...
Has gone above and beyond to welcome me into the Supreme family, if you will. I asked for carpet decals. That's the only thing I asked for.
You didn't ask for any slugs?
He already said, I'll give you slugs. And I said, I will purchase them because I believe in your product. And this is what's really, really weird about me is I'm not asking for money from anybody. I'm asking for, I'm not even asking for a discount on the product. I said, hook me up. I will help you out as much as I possibly can. And it's so weird. He was blown away by that. Another company that I'm working with, we can get onto that, in a little bit. I said the same thing too. I said, if you help me out, I'll help you out as much as possible. I said, I'm doing this on my own, but I want to bring along people that I'm using their product. And I want you as the company owner, Cal, Chad with the other one we'll get into in a little bit, Danny. So anyway, I want these guys to know that I'm using their product. I've been a customer before I have requested anything. So with Cal, I said, get me some carpet decals and hook me up with something, and I'm good. Let's push this. Your product works.
Dude, it works.
You've proven it. I've proven it. I was shown this past summer what it can do. And whether you want to drop his name or not, I'll leave that up to you. I already told you off air, but that dude,
We'll leave his name off.
he's a freaking hammer.
Yes, he probably knows that we're talking about him
I
right now.
guarantee you he does.
Yep.
What were you showing me?
I was showing you something, and you had told me to not show it, but then I said, I don't even remember.
I didn't say don't show it. I said let's talk about Supreme Lure Company's little sluggo. It's not a slug.
There's gonna be
edit
a
that out. It is a slug with 2 G's. Gaga.
Yeah. There's going to be a lot of people pissed about us talking about this, but you know what? I don't even care anymore.
Okay,
You know why?
talk to me, Goose.
We've learned this. Keith Tuma could be throwing a 3/4 ounce chatterbait with the Jerky J on the back of it, and so can 20 other people, but only Keith Tuma catches a bass on it, right? It's like
So
when you have
stupid.
confidence in something,
You're fishing it right.
it doesn't matter who knows about it.
Correct. So anyway, no, they brought me on this year. Thank you,
Dude,
Cal.
Cool.
It was a collective effort between Cal and another fella that we chose to leave unnamed, who's an absolute freaking hammer, by the way. A lot of respect for the fella.
Yes.
And he's come to be a pretty good friend. A lot of support coming from him towards me and my little endeavors.
We're just going to say his
Anyway.
name is Brandon. Let's go, Brandon.
Let's go, Brandon.
That's all we're going to say about that.
Anyway, no, a huge thanks to him for putting me in touch with Cal, or putting Cal in touch with me. And yeah, like I said, I didn't ask for anything except boat decals. And he's offering me a discount. He's actually offering your listeners and anybody else a discount using a promo code that he set up. All caps, Tuma, Tuma.
If you can't spell Tuma,
It's tuna with an M.
tuna with an M.
That's the easiest way to do it.
Man, so
Yeah, you can
This
get
bait.
anything they sell.
okay,
Which
use
they
the code
have.
Tuma.
Phenomenal products, 15% off. And I'm not trying to plug, but I'm trying to plug. You know what? Because he's a freaking phenomenal guy. Both of them they're great guys. They're young, they're motivated. They did a complete revamp on their website. It is so easy to navigate, and they've got some really cool features on there. Like, okay, there's fish pictures on the website. Well, there's a little box you're going to see close to the fish picture. You hover your arrow over that, and guess what? It tells you what that bait is or what that product is. That's kind of cool. And there's a picture of me on there too, but we're going to fix that because it doesn't have the correct jersey yet. I haven't got my new jersey yet.
Oh.
I'm re-jerseying for
Once
this
he
year.
refashions up, they'll take some new
Yeah,
pictures.
we'll get new pictures and we'll update. But anyway, I thought that was really freaking cool of them, and a phenomenal product. So
Okay. The slug, though,
Harris
they
chain.
discontinued it.
Berkeley did.
Berkeley did.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
now it's back.
It's
So
back.
Harris chain, you were saying?
It was key for my 16th place finish this past October on the Harris chain. It was a tough bite. There were not many areas where there was loads of bass.
Dude, I would have jerked off on a lily pad to get 16th place on the Harris chain. I'm not kidding you.
I did not have phenomenal weight, but I was 16th place. I was giddy with everything that I weighed in. And that particular slug, maybe something a little bit more significance.
Well,
or
this is a little
substantial.
slug.
Yeah, it was the
My
regular
big
one.
slugs are up in a crate right now.
Yeah,
But,
dude, you need to break them things out.
well, people will find them
Oh, for
right
sure.
on the website.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm just going to hold the little slugs in my hand today.
You know what you could do is just that number.
Okay, so this deal on the Harris chain. So the ways I like to fish
Oh, yeah,
a
let's
slug
talk about that.
are weightless,
Okay.
Texas rigged,
I Texas
in the
rigged it.
springtime,
Yep.
fishing it like a Senko or skipping it around or,
Sure.
you know, I love doing that. And then jigworm is where I like.
Yeah,
so,
that was really fun.
yeah. And
I can't wait to expand on that on some of the lakes this year.
I don't know what makes this thing so special on a jigworm, but it
It damn works.
works.
Yeah.
It does. My favorite colors up here are black and motor oil.
Okay. So 1 a.m. is the correct
Black.
1 a.m.
1 a.m. Sorry.
And motor oil. Motor oil is a friggin' great color.
Do they eat motor oil in Florida?
They do.
Cool.
They also eat 1 a.m.
Okay. You throw any other?
Dookie sap.
Okay. What's that color? That's like.
It's like a green pumpkin with a lot of really badass flake in it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. And the slug is how do you fish it in hair? How were you fishing it?
I was fishing it on a jig. So jig worm.
You were jig worming it.
And Texas rig. So I started off the main bite when I was coming through the eelgrass and hydrilla. Then I found eelgrass and hydrilla on the Harris chain, which I got lucky.
That can be hard to find.
It was. They've been spraying the fire out of it.
That's what Hayden was saying.
Yes. So I was Texas rigging and jig worming it, and the frickin' thing was getting bit, dude. It was getting bit a lot.
Jig worming in Florida. That's the first I've heard of that.
It was cool. On a bait caster, so power jig worming. No less than 20-pound fluoro.
Yeah.
You like that?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Jig worm on a bait caster, that was I haven't done well on it in years, but there was 5-6 years back I did pretty well on a 6-inch.
You don't even need that stout of a hook. You just lean into them. You don't have to set the hook. A lot of times the fish would set the hook themselves because those Florida fish, they were hitting it so aggressively. I don't know if it was numerous fish chasing or trying to get it or whatever, but they would hit it and they would run. And basically you just kept tension and the hook was driven home. It was cool.
You were saying you Nico rig it too, maybe?
I do.
Big way?
And I power Nico'd, if you will, with a 4-aught EWG and hooking it weedless. I figured out a way to make it work.
Like almost like the tiny child rig, but big, like where I can kind of picture what you're saying.
So I'm running the hook in, not through the nose like you would Texas rig it.
Right.
Down the body. Yep. Right above the weight.
Yep.
Yeah. Dude, they were scarfing it.
What do you think? Why do you think that was? What do you think?
I don't know. I can't
what
answer
made
it.
you decide to try it?
Because I wanted to throw the damn thing on a bait caster.
Totally.
I just do not. I'm old, and if you give me a rod that I can frickin' swing and set the hook really hard with heavy line, I'm happy. The spinning rod thing is great. It has its place. Don't get me wrong. It gets bit. But yeah, give me a frickin' bait caster. So I wanted to cater it to my bait caster, and that's what I ended up with. And by God, it caught fish.
See, when I'm throwing a Nico, typically it's on a spinning rod.
Yep.
Throwing it out there, and I'm cooking it usually. Fishing it like a jig worm, but shaking it maybe a little bit. Was there, same thing, just big?
Sure, less action is more.
Yeah.
You know where I'm going with that?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, burn a dart in between casts or movements, or just wait for your line to start swimming off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, less is more.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's a fantastic bait. And okay, so not only do they have baits, but they introduced a line of weights as well, and they're running some tungsten weights this year as well.
That'll be sweet.
Yeah, some flipping weights, some worm weights. They got all the right sizes, and their price is spot on. Probably some of the most competitive prices in the market, if you will, and they're pure tungsten.
There's gonna be a lot of pissed off people after I say this, but if most people knew in Minnesota how much money was won on a slug,
I'm sorry. Let's go.
People are gonna be pissed, but I'm just gonna
years and years and years ago.
Cal will be sold out forever if we gave it all up. If we gave it all up, but
Correct.
The amount of tournaments won in the state of Minnesota and beyond on a slug is
Here's the thing. Do you remember the old Yamamoto when the Senko first came out, or in its early years?
Do you remember which year that was? Because I was born in '93, so I guess
God, I can't
probably
because
don't.
It was probably
that.
after I started, or way before I started tournament fishing, if you will. I started in 2001.
It was out when I started.
Yeah. And it was a thing back then. So there's no wrong way to fish it. Same thing with this with this bait. There's no wrong way to fish it.
I was having some luck on Tonka last year with a Mojo rig.
Oh, yes.
With this little one.
That would be
dragging it around.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. There's no wrong way to fish it.
Fish it any way you want as long as you're getting bit.
I don't know what it is about that thing.
It just works.
It's magical.
It is. And once again, so happy to be working with them. So I've got them on my jersey, and
Sweet,
I've got them on I've got carpet decals from Supreme, and then the one right below the Supreme logo is Slug Life. That's the run I really dig.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, with 2 G's. Guh-guh.
Guh-guh.
And that's what the fish do. They go guh-guh.
And I like that about you. You're supporting small local businesses, and
Correct.
I guess as anglers, we develop special bonds with our equipment. There's something magical when you find that perfect jig rod and reel combo for a technique that elevates your confidence on the water. Whether it's a perfectly balanced, crisp, and sensitive jig rod that gives you the highest level of control over your bait, allows you to feel every grain of sand, every bite, and allows you to drive that hook clean, or a rod with the perfect action and taper that seems to keep your chatterbait, swim bait, or whatever it is in the back of the bass's head where it belongs no matter where you throw it, or a rod that allows you to effortlessly cast a lighter bait you used to cuss at on your old combo. These types of magical bonds are rare to find in a mass-produced sweatshop, which is why Vocelka Fishing and Customs came to existence, with the sole purpose of bringing you closer to your passion by enhancing the bond with you, your rod, and the bass. Confidence is everything in bass fishing, and there's no bigger boner buster than losing a big fish, not feeling like you can present your bait correctly. The list goes on and on. Mr. Vocelka is a full-blown artesian craftsman who can build you the perfect rod, no matter the size or action, custom, exactly the way you want it. He also has a wide variety to choose from right on his website, including fan favorites like the 8-foot hair jig rod, the drop shot rod, swim bait rod, the chatter chicken rod, the MH workhorse, and more. Even ice fishing. You do the whole frozen Swiss cheese thing, the ice fishing. Seen grumpy old men? Well, you can send that jiggle stick back to the antique store because Mr. Vocelka builds custom ice rods in all sizes and actions too. So head on over to his website, vocelkafishing.com. That's VOCELKA fishing.com to enhance your confidence on the water, feel your passion, and catch more bass, baby. What I'm curious about is this is an expensive sport you're doing.
It is. 100%.
Right?
Absolutely.
So every bit helps, and I guess for me, I like that you're always true to yourself. You don't change who you are.
You can't.
Well, tell that to Nickelback.
I can't. Sorry. I can't. I want to promote products and companies that I've been a customer of in the past or recently.
Right.
And Cal stepped up to the plate for sure. Another one with electronics. We can get into that in a little bit, but
whenever. So
all along, so like my batteries and my charging setup, I'm running Stealth 1 chargers and lithium to charge on the run stuff. And dude, I mean, phenomenal product. I run hydromotive propellers to gain a little advantage there. Todd with hydromotive propellers.
Oh, yeah. Keep the stroker running over 100.
And keep the Skeeter running a little bit better than your stock out of the run or run-of-the-mill Skeeter.
Have you noticed a difference?
100%.
Like,
yeah.
How much?
2 mile an hour.
That's a lot when we're talking a propeller.
It is. And it drops a mile an hour with the load with 2 guys in it. 2 mile an hour better, depending on the conditions, sometimes 3. But I would say consistently 2 mile an hour better than any Yamaha prop that I run. And I'm sorry, Yamaha.
They don't have the, I mean.
They're good props, and that's just it. They're good props.
So does he work that Yamaha prop for you then, or does he
I run a hydromotive propeller.
It's a custom ass propeller.
Correct.
Cool.
Yeah. And yeah, feel free to get in touch with Todd too. Feel free to get in touch with Danny Roberts with Stealth One. Feel free to get with Chad at Chatty Boys. That's the electronics one.
Chatty Boys.
Chatty Boys. They're a company out of Michigan. They brought me on last year. I ran into a little bit of a bind during the St. Lawrence. Didn't realize it was going to be a bind. So I run a Garmin live scope, and we had a little incident. My co-angler and I did. He made a cast with a drop shot, and I don't know what happened, but something glanced off my leg and completely missed my humminbird. My humminbird is down here. My Garmin is up here, and it caught the corner of the screen on my Garmin and smoked the glass.
Did you tell him he's supposed to cast behind the boat?
Yes. And like I said, I don't know what happened, and it's okay.
The guy didn't drown from you pushing him in from the sounds of it?
And he sat down. I was like, dude, get up, fish. We'll deal with it later. It's no big deal. Mm-hmm. It's a broken screen. Worst case scenario, my insurance covers it.
Right.
It's not a big deal. And he was solid with the whole thing. I mean, obviously apologetic. He offered to take care of it. And I said, no, this is why we have insurance. But he did help me out with future deductible stuff. So whatever, blah, blah, blah. He made it right. Good dude. Shit happened. But I got put in touch with Chad, with Chatty Boys, and I needed I wanted a new unit because with the screen cracked, I didn't want water getting down into there, shorten it out, whatever, blah, blah, blah. This goes back to the whole thing. It's a tool that I wanted to have working if and when I needed it. So I got a new unit through Chatty Boys, and they're a company out of Michigan. They specialize in marine electronics and all kinds of other things, and yeah, so I'm working with them this year as well.
Cool, man.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
Did Dane brief you on any of the stuff he's got coming?
He did, and now that you mentioned Dane, I can talk about the fishing rods. I've reached out to Dane, and I asked him if he would put together a few rods for me. So now we are running, or we are going to try, I think with success because they feel really good, some Vocelka custom.
Mr. Vocelka?
He left me the sweetest little voicemail the other day.
Oh.
Yeah, he totally ladies manned it up.
Hey, Mr. Tuma, this is Dane Vocelka.
Yes.
I just want to let you know I left 5 rods with Mr. Teal.
He called me sweet thing.
Ooh.
Yeah.
He doesn't call me that.
Well, anyway, he was trying to set an impression or something. Anyway, it was really freaking cool. So I'm working with Dane now, and he's gonna build some rods for me. But
he's fun to work with.
What a badass thing that he's got going on, dude. Mm-hmm. Nobody in the rod building industry does this.
Correct.
It's, I mean, you want to talk about here's the box, here's thinking outside the box. Yeah, dude's way over here. Mm-hmm. Phenomenal idea. And if he can crank them out that quick, which I think he can, and the quality will still be there, dude, go for it. I got your back. Yep.
It's so cool to see, and how successful he's become in a short amount of time has been super impressive, because the rod business, to me, outside looking in, looks like one of the more challenging industries to get into. But
if you can specialize and you get that following,
that's what fishing's becoming. Everything's getting big. You got private equity buying this, buying that, buying this, buying that. But yet there's all these niche categories. Correct. That when a private equity groups buy these things and they only offer the top selling stuff,
that's just it.
They miss something.
They focus on what's going to make them the most money, not what is my customer really needing.
Correct.
And that's where I really approve of what Dane's got going on, the direction he's going.
Man, we just picked out a handle on. He's giving me a signature series rod, which I'm not worthy. But
yeah, you are.
But
you know how much money you've won that guy?
We've done good together, and he's won me a lot of money too.
I wasn't going to mention that. We're talking about you now. You said you weren't worthy. He never said he wasn't worthy.
The rod he's building me that we're going to be offering is my favorite rod he's ever built me, and I think what I like about Dane is if you need to do something, if you're after something,
Yeah.
it can be done.
Yes.
And when you're after a really good sensitive rod, sometimes that rod's going to be plenty sensitive, but sometimes it's too crisp. Can't land them.
Yep.
And it's like, how can you get both? Or, some of the actions he's put out with. But
Yeah.
the stuff that's coming from Dane is going to be super specialty.
It is. 100%.
I'm curious to see what you like out of them 5 blanks that you're taking with you.
I've got a purpose and a fit for each and every one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to work. I can tell just by pushing them on the carpet, it's going to work.
Well, I know his chicken rod's in there. And that is what we've been throwing these on.
Yep.
And every
Yeah?
single time.
Nice.
But I also played with it for chatterbaits.
Okay.
And I found I liked it for that too, actually. So
Okay.
I'm curious. Yeah,
Very cool.
Curious.
Oh, I'm gonna be-
everybody's shit's different.
I'm going to be giving them feedback. We've had discussions on air and off about how I run a chatterwiggle completely different than most people. And there's one of those in there as well.
That's the chicken rod. Wait, maybe.
Maybe, maybe not. There's also some crankbait things that I asked him for, because one of the other things that I was educated on this year was when, where, and how, and what you need to throw a crankbait. And open water crankbaiting is totally different than specific target pitching, casting to type of crankbait rod. And it needs to load up in such a way that you can make that accurate cast. Cast accuracy is
open
key.
water?
No, when you're specific target.
Totally.
Yeah,
But getting that to do that with the right action,
right.
that's the tough
That's
part, right?
the tough part. Yep. Yeah. No, it needs to be the right rod.
Yeah.
So it has to, once you get bit, getting to the target, any rod will get you to the target. It needs to stay hooked up. Yeah. And Dane and I talked, not extensively, but he got the gist.
He did. I think there's for sure one rod I think that'll do the target thing pretty good. There's one rod in there, to me, that seemed like the perfect open water
And I talked to him about that too. Yeah.
scenario.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So no, anyway, Vocelka custom rods. I'm super excited to be working with Dane. Y'all have been friends / competitors for years, and utmost of respect to obviously Dane and you.
Well, likewise.
But I knew he'd built rods for a long time, and I've been wanting to try, and it worked out this fall to where it's like, okay, I'm freed up, I can try, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah, you probably like, hey, I just broke my 105th 13 rod. I can say it, you can't.
We can't say that stuff.
I know you can't. That's why I said it.
I broke 2 rods last year, and they were Johnny on the spot with replacing them.
Totally.
Yeah, it was fluke stuff. It was maybe partially me swinging way too hard. I don't know.
I broke Dane's rods. One.
Stuff happens.
Yep.
Stuff happens. Putting them in the rod locker, for God's sake, sometimes the tips crack off. It freaking happens. We're trying to cram way too many rods into way tight of a space. Stuff happens.
The only reason I said that is because I've had 2 13 rods in my life in my hand.
Yep.
One was Brian Bankston's favorite topwater rod.
Okay.
And I broke it on my second cast.
Okay.
And then I won one, and I broke that one too. So that's why I was saying, because you broke all your 13s. It's just because I broke 2. But anyway.
Yeah. No, it
exciting.
It freaking happens, and I'm stoked to be working with him. So yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, you're good. I don't remember.
Kyle Welcher, I'm sorry.
I got oodles of respect for that dude, and Gerald Swindle, and the company 13 brand.
Yeah.
I still run their reels. I still run their rods. I'm still going to support the brand. I'm just going to try and expand a little bit on some other rods, which is perfectly acceptable.
Totally.
Yeah. Like I said, I've always been a customer before I've been a promoter.
It's so hard when you're an opens angler with what you're dealing with for costs.
And I'm learning the promoting part of it. So I'm not very good at it.
I think you are.
And well, here's what I've found success with. That's the best way I can promote stuff.
Honesty.
And I'm not asking for a thing from anybody. I'm getting discounts here and there. Phenomenal. I'm getting boat decals. Phenomenal. And I will plug. But I've set myself up through the course of my life, which is why I'm a late bloomer in the opens. I'm an old man trying to get in and not necessarily prove something to the world, but prove something to myself. And it's like, can I do it?
Yeah.
I think I did that last year. I proved it to myself. If I have a bomb year this year, which that happens. We've all fished long enough. It happens.
Oh, yeah.
If I bomb out this year, you know what? I still know I'm capable. Mm-hmm. I think.
Oh, I don't think yeah. We all know you're capable.
So for my entire life, set myself up to this point to where I can do it mostly on my own. Nobody's giving me anything. Nobody's paying me anything. That might be naive. That might be dumb. That might be whatever. But this is the way I want to do it. I do not want to be a slave to some product or some company. And this is probably going to bite me in the ass in the long run. But I don't want to be a slave and take away from my fishing. I want to work with companies that are like, cool, dude, help us out a little bit. We'll help you out a little bit. Push our product. We'll help you out as much as we can and find success. Go fish. Don't worry about social media stuff. Don't worry about doing shows. If the opportunity comes up, it arises, I'll go. I have no problem. No, let me know.
Yeah.
Joe Carlson, Skeeter, called me up. Dude, can you come? We're in a pinch. I said, I am in Oklahoma right now. I said, I would love to be there. I cannot make it. I can't make it. I am sorry. Right. And do I feel bad about it? Absolutely. Because Joe, he went out probably outside of his comfort zone and put some faith in me and brought me onto the Minnesota team for Skeeter. And I'm running the boat. I'm pushing the product. Everybody sees that I'm running a Skeeter. Hell, I'm wearing the garb. I'm super comfortable in Skeeter boats. They've always performed. They've always got me back to weigh in. They've always got me out on the water. That's just my deal. I've got confidence in it, and I've been a customer long before I've been on any team, if you will. That's how I've kind of modeled this. Do it on my own, and promote the products and the companies that I've been a customer of before I've found success, if you will.
Right.
I don't know.
To me, that's a great way to do it, and you've kind of put yourself in the right spot financially, from the sounds of it.
And that's what I've worked up to this point.
Which is the hardest thing to do.
Sacrificed and taken time to save, scrimp, cut back, whatever, which is probably a lot of why you don't hear from me, or people don't hear from me. I go into hermit mode in off season. I go do my thing and I try and rebuild a little bit. But
are you still working?
Yeah, I'm doing a little bit here and a little bit there.
So you do out of body stuff, right?
No, I've got that tough toe company.
Yeah.
So
tell me more about that.
Tough
toe.
Toe.
Talked about it a little bit, but
it's a product that goes on the front of enclosed car trailers. It takes up to 2,500 pounds of tongue weight off of your tow vehicle. So with like stacker race car trailers, and guys towing them with motorhomes, there's a lot of tongue weight if they don't have a product on there. Load leveler bars and stuff like that. They're a Band-Aid, sure, right, but they're not getting rid of the tongue weight that's on these vehicles. So this thing looks like landing gear off of front of an airplane that's on the ground constantly, and there's a spring on there, and it gets you right to where you need to be to not have frame damage or roof damage on your motorhome and stuff like that, or your regular pickup. I towed I had a half-ton Ford F-150, and I'm towing a heavy trailer with the tough toe on it back there. And aside from it being a gas guzzler because I'm pulling a ton of weight, I never really noticed that the thing was back there. Crosswinds, headwinds, it tracked true. So it's a super cool product.
Is that your product?
Yeah, I own the company.
Wow.
It did not invent it. I bought it.
That's super cool, man.
And tried it, and yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So
Cool.
I fabricate them. With the exception of the tires, everything else is U.S. made. We can't find U.S. tires. That's the only problem.
How
It's
long have you owned that?
Oh shoot, since 2012.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. I was wondering because I don't know if Dane told you, but he got a 24-foot trailer,
Sure.
and he's gonna tattoo out of it and
Yes.
build rods, and we're gonna do podcasts out of it.
That'll
so
be
like we're
fun.
taking it down to the Classic.
Okay.
This year,
Nice.
and I'm just wondering, like with my half-ton pickup, that big ice house,
Yeah,
if I'm gonna be running into issues.
you might. Depends on how much weight.
Well, that's just it. And I don't really even know
Correct.
what. Executive producers entered the building.
What's up, part time?
It's a part-time. No. He saved our bacon already today.
Your bacon, mine. I was just going to sit here and talk regardless of whether it was recording or not.
Well, our bacon, because or else you would have just been wasting your breath the whole time.
It's all good, man. I love to hear myself talk.
So how much does one of those run? Like if I was to need one?
What the heck do I sell them for? $24.95.
Hoofda. I hope my truck works without it, but
But we can talk off air.
do you have demos? Can I rent one?
You won't. You probably won't need one.
Probably not. But dude, that's super cool.
Yeah,
So that keeps you a little busy in the off time.
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, like I said, I've put myself in a position to where I can slough off on a few things, and my parents have been an integral part of helping me out with that business,
Sure.
with shipping and all of
cool.
that stuff, and putting orders together when I'm gone and on the road, and
That's awesome.
yeah, it definitely helps out.
So that's your situation.
Yes.
But tell me what you're up against in the opens and everybody else's situation, because
I'm up
I
against-
can't say that's the same for everybody else. It's
It's-
either rich or credit card debt or you own a company.
So I think a lot of guys spin themselves out thinking that they need the latest and greatest and the best products and this and that. I don't really think you do. I think you need to have confidence. I think you need to stick to your game plan until it's time to adjust. And I think anybody with the right qualities could make a go at it.
Right. But
Oh, you want to open up a can of worms?
yeah, I do. All of them.
Only on the Galaxy. All right. I think that it could be done out of a very inexpensive boat with minimal electronics, as long as you have the right mapping and the right intuition. I think you could make a go at it. Okay. I was up against a shit ton of information this past year. Mm-hmm. And I almost frickin' did it.
Right.
Granted, I have the stuff. I have the electronics. But it boiled down to fishing my comforts, my strengths, my intuition, making the right call and then capitalizing on that call if it worked, or just abandoning it if it didn't.
Right.
Was I the greatest performer out there? No, not by a long shot. Did I do good? Fuck yeah. I think so.
I think so too.
I'm
bud.
proud of myself. And I hope to be able to do that again this year.
I agree with everything you're saying, though. Like,
You don't need the latest and greatest of everything. You need equipment that's going to get you on the water and get you back to weigh in. The rest,
you need to be able to get home when you're done.
correct.
You
There's
need
that.
to be able to
There's that too. But
pay your
dude, that's maintenance.
mortgage or whatever it is.
Yep. And okay, so the way I'm doing it also, I'm not sleeping in my truck. I'm doing VRBOs, and I was fortunate enough to get hooked up with some guys after Eufaula, Alabama, the very first tournament. Mm-hmm. So Derek and then Lance and Paul and Scott, they kind of took me under their wing, and I don't know if they felt sorry for the old northern boy or whatever it was, and we all became really good friends, and we've split costs, and that's been a huge help. Otherwise, I was doing it on my own.
Right.
I was getting an expensive VRBO, and I'm the only one staying there. And it was kind of nice in one regard. It's like, okay, this is me. This is just me against the world. And but with the fellas, it definitely helped out, because now I can bounce things off of them, and here's what they're doing. Okay, that's working. Okay, now I know what I need to avoid because I'm not going to go step on any of their toes.
Well, if you're going to do it, you don't do it there. You maybe try to figure it out in your own
Elsewhere.
spot.
Correct. And definitely that happened. And I was just as much as a contributing factor to some of their success as well. Yeah, but like, here's what I'm finding, So I mean, there was an information free flow back and forth between my roommates and myself, and it worked out good.
Yeah. What was some things that they like rooming with Southern boys? What was some cool like things? Like how was their mentality, I guess, different, or their thought process, or their perception, or what was some cool stuff about that?
Confidence in the fact that we all really don't know what we're doing. We have different techniques, different styles, different ways to catch fish. But as far as going out and being locked down and saying, this is how they're going to bite, this is how I'm going to do it, and I'm going to win, that was never the case. Everybody is just like, there's so many unknowns. And I'm pretty certain that you can attest to this. We all really don't know what's going to happen, what the day is going to bring. But having the ammunition, I guess, from these other guys' different styles, from my styles that I shared with them, if I got bit on this in practice and I'm going to be throwing this, they had the confidence. It's like, okay, this is working too. So then they could change if their stuff wasn't working. Or in my case, if my stuff's not working, here's what Derek's doing. Here's what Lance is doing. Here's what Paul's doing. Here's what Scott's doing. And boom, boom, boom. I could try those things as well. I had that stuff rigged up. They had that stuff rigged up with me as well. And they had all the other stuff rigged up. So, I mean, we had an arsenal of things that we could rotate through. And whether it be 3-4 rods or 12 to 14 rods, I mean, we had, here's what's working. Here's what the lake is showing that it will handle. Here's what the fish will show that they want to, show interest in.
Sure.
So yeah, that was a big part of the success, I guess, if you will.
Yeah. Well, I remember when we talked last winter, you coined it, I think, Team No Adjustment, right?
Right.
And now
I adjusted like a mo.
You have to, right?
Yes.
You have to. And
yep. Except for certain times where I was extremely stubborn, like following the decoy fish on Ozarks. Sticking with it. Yeah, I mean, what do you do? Sorry.
So how different were your styles, like, in that house?
Was
it pretty polarizing?
No, it was all pretty much within my comforts, with the exception of the whole crankbait thing. I personally do not throw a ton of crankbaits up here.
Sure.
Reason beings, we're loaded with pike and muskie and things with scissor jaws. Down south, everything eats a freaking crankbait. Catfish.
So you've that's
hybrids,
been something
drum, bass.
So that's something that you picked up kind of from those guys and developed, so to speak.
Yep. Yeah. And I helped them out with flipping stuff and with some other things that suit the northern way of fishing.
Sure. What are like some cool crankbait stuff you learned? Because that Derek is pretty good at it.
Oh my God,
and you don't need to give up all the juice, but
he's a phenom.
I've grown quite fond and learned quite a bit about crankbaits. I know a little bit, but I guess, is there any little things that you picked up on?
There's times of year. Everybody thinks up here, okay, not everybody thinks up here. Let's just say the vast majority of people think you throw a crankbait out there, you wind it down until it hits cover, you stop it, you maybe give it a couple twitches, this and that, things along those lines. The one, I guess, of the number of things that I learned, one of the most fun one was, there's certain crankbaits at certain times of year, you cannot reel them fast enough. I'm throwing them on an 8-3-1 reel and burning them.
Shallow? Banging? Or?
Yeah, let's just say shallow. Just burning them, like as fast as you can physically crank that handle and hang on. Because when they hit it, it's aggressive.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I'm guessing that's warmer times of the year?
Yeah, that would definitely be warmer times.
Would
of year.
make sense.
Yeah, it's totally reaction thing. I mean, there's something ripping past these fish, and they're like, "Oh, gotta have it," and they frickin' chase it down and choke it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Now there was other times of year where it had to be you'd run it into cover and kill it, and when you killed it, it starts slowly floating, and they couldn't handle that either. I mean, just all different ways and styles, but a crankbait is definitely something that's not played out as much up here due to the fact that we have that variety of fish that likes to steal $20 crankbaits, $10 crankbaits, $2 crankbaits.
They're harder to throw up here in general with the grass and stuff too.
There is that as well, yeah.
But I think
But we have lakes that don't have a ton of grass.
I can think of a few where I really like a crankbait. And
Yep.
to me, on them grass lakes, it's a super complimentary tool.
It is.
That it's
So outside of the weed line, up here especially, grass line, whatever, you rip a freaking crankbait past it, they're going to come out of that cover and they're going to hunt it down, or they're going to have it go right past their nose and yeah.
right. Well, you have different shapes of crankbaits too, and I guess one shape of crankbait I've grown quite fond. Are you ready to reel in your next home purchase or refinance? Supreme Lending's Dream Team can help guide you through the entire mortgage process, from pre-qualification to closing. They have a wide variety of home loan programs in their tackle box, including down payment assistance and first-time home buyer options. Just ask me. I trusted Aaron Dagas, a bass fisherman just like you and me, and Supreme Lending's Dream Team to help finance my first home. Contact Aaron Dagas and the Dream Team today by scanning the QR code or giving them a call at 763-326-0677. That's 763-326-0677. Did I catch a 7 in there? Or visit their website, aarondages.supremelending.com. That's AARONDAEGES.supremelending.com. One of is a flat side,
Yes.
I guess. And
I got stock in those.
I guess I've had luck with a flat side all times of the year. It's known as more of a cold water bait, but to
It
me,
is.
them pressured fish, it seems to work okay on those too.
Yeah, subtle's kind of key at times.
Yeah.
If the burn's not working, then go something a little more subtle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tight wobble, wide wobble. I mean,
Right.
here's the thing. It's so many freaking variables. It's boils down to what you have confidence in and the way that you can trick the right amount of fish or the right fish into nibbling.
For sure. For sure. Well, you've got your drunken wigglewort,
Oh boy.
and then you've got kind of your standard hard hitting.
Yep.
And then you've got kind of a tighter flat side, I guess.
And then you have the one that doesn't even come remotely close to in contact with the bottom, and the fish come up and just tear the fire out of it.
USP.
Love it.
USP.
A little hiccup in the glitch there.
Oof, the glitz and the USP. What kind of flat sides do you like? I mean, you got your Fritz sides, you got your tinies, you got your...
I run the Ott and the David Fritz flat side.
I like the Fritz one.
Yeah, Fritz side is kind of a deal. That dude, he didn't become who he is or fish the way he fishes off of just pure luck. There's a lot of research and a lot of intuition. Yeah, and a lot of designs, probably a lot of fails before he came up with, or they came up with the stuff that actually works.
For sure.
Yeah.
Have you ever messed with like the Fritz side 9?
Yes.
It pulls so hard.
Oh, dude, you think that thing's going 30 feet down?
Yeah, and it's almost like I've only caught fish one time on it, but
Okay.
it was almost like I'm like
It's got a lot of...
I'm like dragging it.
Correct.
Almost. Like, and that is like the first time where David Fritz's videos cranking like rap and cold water made like a lot of sense to me.
Yep.
Still don't throw up much. I like the 5 mostly, but
5 is good. 7's good. 9 is an interesting critter.
you don't like the 9?
No, I do.
You like the 7 too?
I like the 7.
Cold water only, or you make that shit work?
Cold, dirty,
Cold dirty. Yeah.
shallow.
Backwoods or black and mild.
Oh my God, are we doing it?
I mean,
I'm gonna
got
get
'em for you.
I'm gonna get in trouble.
Well, then we can't.
No, we can, but I'm gonna get in trouble. But it's okay. I have no problem burning one. It's been a minute.
Who are you gonna get in trouble with?
Myself.
Oh,
I'm good though. Let's do this.
hey man, no,
Why?
because.
I can give in to a little bit of peer pressure. I'm still young at heart.
But dude, it's the beginning of the season, and if your New Year's resolution was to not,
No, I have no resolutions.
Oh, okay,
My
perfect.
only New Year's resolution is to continue to live right and do true to me. So, and I'm all about having a nice little stogie.
well, do you want a backwoods or do you want a black and mild?
What are you gonna have?
Whatever you tell us we're having. You're the cigar expert, not me.
Let's do a backwoods. I haven't had one of those since hunting season.
I haven't had a backwoods since Nam, dude.
You weren't even alive. Love
It's my favorite figure of speech.
That's good stuff.
I haven't had a backwoods in a coon's age. There you are, sir.
Oh, gracias.
Oh yeah, good old tree bark.
Yeah, bud.
No,
I always feel like Clint Eastwood when I'm smoking one of these.
dude, these things are wild. I justify it by not inhaling.
Oh, you got to.
I know. Tastes so good once it hits your lips.
Don't Clinton out on me right now. Was that? No, it wasn't him, wasn't it? Who was the one? Who was the politician? I smoked weed, but I didn't inhale.
Oh yeah. I think that was Clinton.
I don't know.
It's like, well, you fucked up.
Okay, and when it comes to that, I do not smoke.
Hey man, I don't judge.
No, don't. It's personal preference. I don't think you're lit, are you? Oh yeah, you are. Hey everybody. Hi, Mom.
It's tree bark. I'm probably not lit yet.
So that home waters. I got backwoods in there. 13 video that I did a few years back. I called Reed and Ben, and I said, "Hey, we're shooting this video. Do you guys mind if I have a cigar and like cut my line, burn my line with the sherry of it?" And they're like, "That would be so cool." So I did it.
Yeah.
And the very first time that I showed that video, I was doing a seminar for the high school state tournament up on Gull Lake. that's playing, and my daughter's there and my girlfriend's there watching it, and Peter Perovich is there, and that part comes up and all the kids' faces are like, it was like, oh shoot. Anyway,
You became the Eminem album with the explicit sign that all the kids thought were cool.
Right.
Yeah. But like, why is that, dude? Why is fishing such artificial almost? Like to the point where it's almost artificial.
This is interesting that you bring this up. We all seem like we have to mind our P's and Q's, but these kids, and I think a lot of it is because these kids are up and coming. There's a lot of youth that are looking up to people, and you know what? We're all people.
You ever watch a hockey game though?
Correct. Yeah, no, there's violence. Look at the video games, listen to song lyrics. I know I sound like an old frickin' man right now, but these kids are subjected to a lot worse things than people being real. Like a little bit of swearing, a little bit of drinking, a puff on a frickin' cigar, or whatever. Kids these days, people these days are subjected to so much worse crap than people just being themselves. And sure, I like to burn a little frickin' cigar every once in a while. This is why the pictures got deleted on Toledo Bend, is because when I set the hook and missed that fish, it's probably why I missed the fish, because I had a backwoods in my face, and they had to pull the pictures down. I mean, a lot of people when they first posted them saw them. Andy Walls commented, he's like, "Dude, how big was that fish you lost?" And I jumped up and down, and I mean, I kind of threw a little bit of a fit. I said, "I don't know, but it felt like when I set the hook on that 9 and that 8, it was big. It didn't feel like when I set the hook on that 5.5. I mean, that one moved. These fish didn't move. That one didn't move. So anyway, whatever."
But like, right? Hockey kids.
Mm-hmm.
You watch a NHL hockey game.
Correct.
You got the coach.
Yep.
Mouthing.
Yep.
You got players. And then like UFC, you've got
Yep.
McGregor, just on the wreck. Look at his face. Look at mine, mate. You know, like, oh, yeah.
You're going to just need to leave that out. These what backwoods do.
Yeah, that's what they do. But, like, it kind of pisses me off about fishing. Mm-hmm. Because what are we trying to do? It's like, it's politics. It's like, it's the same thing I hate about politics.
But we're in the spotlight. And we've got a lot of people, there's a lot of people out there that are looking at us and looking up to us because we're doing something that a lot of people dream of doing, which is why we do it. We're blessed with the opportunity to be in a situation where we can throw it all on the line. You know, ultimately we're gamblers. So I'm reading a book now called The Gambler, and I'm just enthralled with it. A friend of mine, Paul Ruff, he's a Baxter bass snatcher, and he loaned me this book to read. He was telling me about it ahead of time, and it's about Billy Walters, and just a phenomenal read so far. I'm only 100 pages in, but I just started reading it 2 days ago, and it's exceptional. But we're all gamblers. I mean, this is about, he's known worldwide, I guess, for being the biggest gambler ever.
Okay.
Oh yeah, phenomenal read so far, and I'm sure it's going to get better as I get further into the book. But we're gambling on ourselves. But I mean, look at what's associated with this. Gambling is an addiction. But yet, every time we throw down on an entry fee on a tournament, we're gambling. Mm-hmm. Every time you crawl out of bed in the morning, you're gambling. You drive down the road, you're gambling. I mean, if you want to put things into perspective,
life's a gamble.
We are gamblers by nature. You know, you're taking chances. You get into you purchase something, you're gambling. You take a risk, you're gambling. You know, I don't know what's wrong with it. It's a perception, and I think that obviously with a certain few big names in the sport, they're showing themselves. They're like, screw the norm, and we're going to be who we're going to be. And look, Seth Feider, prime example. Iaconelli, Matt Robertson, prime examples. These they're just dudes. You know, Iaconelli's cleaned it up a little bit, but Seth, he's staying true to himself.
To Matt Robertson, that's the future.
100%, and it needs to be.
But companies need to understand that, in my opinion, because, right? Let's look at politics, right?
Sure.
Nobody was real, and then this guy Trump comes in, unfiltered,
yep,
and wins the election. Now, I did not mean to spin this a political way, but it's a matter of people can see through bullshit.
100%.
And it's like, I don't understand why.
Would you rather have somebody, I'm sorry to cut you off.
No.
Would you rather have somebody see you for who you are versus be shocked when something comes out there? They're like, oh shit, we never knew that about you.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, well, no. I listened to the Bass Galaxy and Tuma was on there and he said the F word. Okay, he's a normal guy. He swears. Oh, he has a whiskey. The last time I was on here, we were having whiskey and beer. Simultaneous.
Right.
And oh my God, you know, we're freaking human, man.
We're human beings.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Why can't we all embrace it?
We should.
We should. And I think fishing would be so cool if everyone did.
Correct. I agree.
If we don't get all canceled beforehand.
No, that whole deal, that was a passing fad, in my opinion.
Cancel culture.
Oh, F that.
I think people are starting to wake up to it. Mm-hmm. I mean, I just think if you brought a little more savagery into the sport, there's more realness into it, more grit.
There's plenty of savagery. We need more realness.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, it also needs to be done within reason, and there needs to be an ethical side of things as well.
Totally.
So, I mean, there's a fine line. There really, truly is, because ultimately, you want to be able to know that you're a good person and do right by all kinds of people.
Right.
But as soon as you start catering to whatever is socially acceptable, are you really yourself?
I don't know.
If you're putting on a
If
facade.
you're catering at all, I guess.
Yeah, if you're putting on a facade. If you're putting something out there that's not what you would do on a normal day-to-day basis, are you yourself?
Well,
I mean,
it depends, right? Because most people are reluctant to put themselves out on a day-to-day basis, right? Like I can attest to that with this podcast. I thought of this podcast 6 years before we put one out.
Okay.
It was just hard to put myself out there. It's not that I didn't want to be real, but
I've done a lot of podcasts and I've had drinks on a lot of podcasts, but the relaxed nature in which you provide for the galaxy here, smoking a cigar, having whiskey, dropping F-bombs and whatnot, cutting it up and talking about real stuff, you don't find that everywhere. Would people be welcome or open to it? Probably. Absolutely. Right. But is it the norm? No.
No, it's completely not, which is why I did it.
Yeah. And good for you for taking the leap.
Well, I'm sure I haven't got any negative feedback. I'm sure there's probably a few people that wish we were a little more PG, but I didn't make the show for them. So I made this show for me.
You made the show for yourself.
This is all selfish. These
Correct.
Conversations with you, it's selfish.
Whether
they're recording or not.
At any given point, people have the opportunity to push the off button.
That's right.
Yep. And that goes with anything that's out there today. We have the ability to listen or not listen.
That's right.
Yeah.
I feel like I want to get deeper here for like the last little bit.
All right, lay it on me.
Well, we got a little deep last time.
Yes, we did.
I want to go there.
I vaguely remember.
I want to go there.
All right.
Only
because we have Cole here now.
Yes. Real quick, Cole Figgy did call me on my cell phone. Would you want to call him back on my cell phone? Okay. As I drop my cell phone.
Do we need a break again? A mandatory intermission?
Only if you got to pee.
No, I'm good.
But I'm good. I'm going to go grab my phone for Cole. And then I would like to get into interdimensional anythingness with you.
You pose the question and we'll figure out a way to answer it.
Well, we got into last time like the energy thing.
Oh, God.
Positive and negative energy.
Dude, that's huge.
In the universe.
That's huge.
It is.
And it's deep.
It's so deep. It's so deep. We're magnets. We're energy.
100%.
We're physical energy.
Correct.
I don't think the world could hear this enough.
Okay.
I think they need to hear it more.
Well, you do your thing and we'll go there. I'm just going to sit here, look pretty. I'm going to toke on my backwoods. I'm going to enjoy a little redemption.
Cole.
Hi, everybody.
Sorry to take you off what you're doing.
I'm now just the filler for the Bass Galaxy. Mm-hmm. There's big business going on in the background.
Holes should be pre-drilled in all the chairs.
The next podcast is probably going to be quite interesting.
Oh, fuck.
I know the candidates.
We are fucked. We are fucked.
I wouldn't say that. It's just going to be entertaining. Highly entertaining.
As Willie quoted it, it would be the greatest podcast ever recorded.
And he will make it that.
We'll see about that, Willie.
You
got big shoes to fill with this Tuma guy.
I haven't talked with Will in a number of years, and I sure miss that guy. We ran with him in Austin on the NABCs. We didn't room with him or anything like that, but we were always constantly talking with those guys, and wow. They took our money, we took their money. It was kind of a lot of fun. And then Austin went big time. Fucking, that's awesome. Hey, did you hear he's engaged?
I did see that.
That's fantastic.
I went fishing with him.
Did you?
Yeah.
I have yet to do that.
Oh, I am glad I did.
I bet. You want to talk about a wealth of freaking knowledge.
Totally. I took advantage of it, man.
You should have.
I learned, yeah. So we were fishing, we were filming for All Terrain, and he was boatless at the time. Thank God he was boatless. Okay. That means he got to hop in with me.
Perfect.
So we did my normal topwater morning deal for smallies, caught a few for the camera, and then
and then you guys
from there I'm like,
down.
Well, from there, I'm like, okay, you get to drive now.
Yep. What do you want to do?
Teach me some scoping.
I am a sponge.
And he taught me some scoping.
Dude's a freaking animal. There's a reason why he's so successful.
Yeah.
Yep. Outside the box.
I think he just is smart. Yeah, he's a good angler. Yeah.
There's a spectrum thing too with him.
No doubt.
Yep.
No doubt. And we're all on it, but
Yep.
but that
to
dude,
some degree.
Yep. For sure. But getting back into the interdimensional
Here we
energies
go.
of the world, or is this
Energies.
too deep? Do you want to stay?
Yeah,
do you
no,
want to
let's
stay
do it.
shallow, or do you want to fish deep brush piles?
Let's go fish deep brush piles real quick.
Okay. Did you call him?
Yeah.
Did he answer? What did he say?
Oh, he asked if you were passed out because I was on the phone with him.
Are they on their way?
Yeah, an hour.
Hour. Cool.
Nice. Sounds like we got an hour to kill.
We do.
Okay.
Energy, positive, negative energy, manifestation,
Oh boy.
the mysteries of the world, the unseen forces
Oh, boy.
of powers that be.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I've talked to Walls. You and Walls are like the only people I could talk to this about,
Okay.
which is why I want to talk about it, because everybody else looks at me like I'm some
No,
kind of nut job.
It's a thing. It 100% is a thing. I'm a firm believer. I don't fully openly subscribe to it, but in my head I'm all in. The energy deal it's a deal. If and it's a tough hurdle to leap at times.
yeah.
Especially when you're getting down on yourself or on the conditions or whatever. So let's just say everybody has the tools. A lot of people have the know-how. A few people have the perspective to set that negative. This goes back to something I touched on a little bit about you have to be okay in a tournament setting, not weighing a limit of fish.
Yeah.
That mentality that saved my ass on Toledo Bend. Like I said, at 11:30 or quarter to 12, whatever the heck time it was, I had a 14 1/4 incher on day one in my box, and I caught some other short fish, but I needed 14 or better. And I roll up to that one area that I knew I could catch some 2.5 and 2 3/4. That's what was there in practice. Some occasional 3-pounder. And I put my limit in the boat in short order, and then upgraded with that 9.5, and then upgraded with that 8 and change, and then put the one close to 5 in the boat, and I left. It's like, holy crap, that just happened. Would it have happened if I would have given up halfway through the day and been like, I just can't figure these things out? No, I think that the mental aspect of things and the positive energy or negative energy or energy in general, you have to embrace it
Yeah.
and make the right decision based on that.
Well, you have a lot of time in the boat to talk to yourself.
Oh, we're our own
Right?
worst enemies out
It's
there.
like, oh, you suck, or
yeah.
oh, you got this, or like
Well-
that is a constant thing. That's like you're constantly talking to yourself, and most people say talking to yourself is crazy, but there's something to talking to that inner or that inner spirit or that inner being inside of you, or devil on your left shoulder, angel on your right, or whatever you want
Right.
to call it.
Yep.
And there's people who will have mantras or little things that they'll say that revert back to bring them back to a
A happy place.
happy place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your power animals.
So is
Hide.
there a series of things you do talking to yourself to keep you
When I'm
positive?
Yeah.
I
When I'm-
think I have to cheerlead myself.
Well, I don't.
Hurt here.
Okay, so I won't build myself up to the point where it's unrealistic.
Yeah, so you don't
I
call
keep
your
it-
dick huge or anything.
Hell no.
Me either, dude. You don't lie to yourself like that.
Why of all the things you could have said, why did you say that?
I don't. I sometimes I just say dumb shit.
No, I mean, it's like you can't you can't go out there and be like, oh yeah, if you just make this adjustment, you are absolutely going to crush them. No, we'll see. And then when that opportunity shows, that's when you have to grab a hold and just take it for all it's worth. But if you put yourself in a, man, I suck, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to be able to do this, I can't catch a fish, I can't land a fish, I'm getting bit, but I can't connect, I can't get them in the boat. If you focus on that, it won't happen.
Fact.
That in itself will be your curse. If you can get out there and be like, okay, if I get bit doing something that I feel comfortable with in a tournament scenario or setting, and you say, okay, show me, come on, fish, show me that this will work. And then they do, that's when you can ride it. And there's a lot of times where that doesn't happen. And when that doesn't happen, you have to be okay with making another adjustment and making another adjustment, or being stubborn until it does happen. Because there are, whether people want to admit it or not, there are windows of opportunity.
There is.
That's a deal.
Such a deal.
Yep.
Probably the biggest thing I learned that's helped me with that whole side of things, where it started. Did I put that back? Yeah.
I don't know what you're doing.
Where
I
it
told you to leave
started
it
was
here.
losing fish, right?
Yeah.
And KVD was the best at this.
Okay.
It's what happens typically when you lose a fish. You get pissed off, and you lost another one.
Oh,
and now those are the days where you just can't keep them pinned, right?
Okay. For me personally, you know what I say to myself? And I've had so many co-anglers be like, how can you recoup from that?
I'm curious if it's the same as me.
You got to give back to the lake in order for the lake to give to you. That's what I say. I repeat it in my head. I say it out loud. It's okay. You got to give back to the lake. That worked. I got bit. You got to give back to the lake.
I always say, good.
Yeah, you got bit.
Good. You know why? If we were landing this one, we wouldn't catch the next one right here that's about to bite.
Sure.
It's probably a half pound bigger. So for me, I like say
All right.
good. Kind of like that Jocko Willick talk. Like, something bad happens to you, good.
Yeah. How are you going to react to it?
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
So
Losing
does
5-pounders taste good.
does that go into the whole thing about, let's just say, everything is pre-planned and written out? We don't realize it at the moment, but if we look back on it, it's like, okay, this happened for a reason. Anything in life, this happened for a reason. Okay, I was put on this path because this path wasn't right for me as a person. Now I'm 1 degree off and I'm on another path. This happened, and it made me make a choice to where now I'm on this path. Is that what's going on there? Is it a
Maybe.
Are we in a freaking computer program?
I think we could be, for sure. And I guess when you say everything's predetermined, maybe. I'm curious more your opinion on that. For
Okay.
me, it's hard for me to know.
Well, think about this. Anytime you've tried to force something, to force something, it does not work.
No.
When you chill the F out and you kick back and you just go with, not necessarily fully commit to going with the flow, but when you relax.
Let the universe's plan unfold, right?
Yeah, what happens? Things work out.
Good shit happens,
Yeah.
Getting yourself to do that, that's the magic potion, right?
100%.
That's the hardest thing to do.
You got to be okay with not weighing a limit.
Yeah.
I don't know,
Yeah.
dude. I'm just spewing here. But, I
No.
mean, a lot of this stuff I believe in. Whether you think about it constantly, I mean, there's people that probably think about this on a day in and day out basis. I choose to touch on it here and there. And when people bring it up, such as yourself, this is twice now you've brought it up, or we've brought it up. It's fun to expand on a little bit and see just how deep the wormhole goes.
Dude, I
Or
love
rabbit hole or
I
whatever.
love these things because it's that's one thing you'll never hear, fishermen talking about as a complete difference maker, or even diving deep into that wormhole. I haven't
Sure.
heard a fishing podcast where they dive into the wormhole of the fact that we're all magnets, positive, negative energy, or there's a pre-plan for it, or like the fact that you can
Have you ever
hack shit like that.
Have you ever fished with somebody that is just so absolutely negative,
Yeah.
whether in the front of the boat or the back of the boat, that it alters your mood
Yes.
and it alters the way you're fishing at that
Yes.
time?
All the time.
Correct.
Camp Tour, if you get the Marshall, no offense, kids.
Yeah.
But if you get the Marshall that, a tougher one,
Sure.
you know it's an uphill battle that whole day, and
Yep.
you have to have extra talks with yourself,
Sure.
so to speak, to keep you.
And that is
level.
you know what's happening. You know if you're sucking or you know if you're doing good. And if you're doing good, is that the point where you kick back and be like, "Oh, I got this. I got this." As soon as you take your foot off of that pedal just a little bit, boom, you're past.
Yep, Noah Schultz. Phew.
The dude's a freaking hammer.
Oh, dude, yeah. But so I've like saying good after I lose one, that's helped me.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, that's helped me.
Yep.
The other thing is being grateful,
Yes.
which is such a weird one.
Oh, you got to appreciate the bass that you catch.
You have
or
to.
the fish or whatever you're doing.
Or the
Yep.
fact that you're out doing it.
Correct.
And there's probably a guy who, is over at war somewhere.
Yes.
Or living in, or Palestinian, or whatever you want to bring up. Like,
Yep.
there's so much work.
Hey guys, Gaff here with Waypoint Angler Supply. I'm hanging out here at our JDM wall. We got a large variety of product. Hold on. Hey guys, Gaff here with Waypoint Angler Supply. I'm just out here hanging out at our JDM wall with my buddy Teal, and we're going over some JDM product. We've got ourselves some Fish Arrow, some Duo Realis, Depths, and G-Crack, all for you. But it's not just the tackle that we've got. We've got ourselves some reels, some rods, all from Japan, some BFS stuff, all the good stuff that you're looking for from Japan that you can't find anywhere else. So swing on into Waypoint Angler Supply and get yourself stocked up.
We'll see you here at Waypoint Angler Supply.
.com? .com. Use the code GALAXY20 to save 20% on your next tackle binge. Out there.
There is.
Always.
Yes.
It can always be worse.
A lot of people lose sight of that.
It's so easy to.
Okay. How many, and I'm not saying that I'm special.
My mom says I was special.
This is awesome. I have walked across the stage of the Opens a few times with zero fish. And I've walked up to that microphone and I've walked up to Hank or Chris with no fish to weigh in. And I've talked and I've not gotten overly negative. I'm my own worst critic. But I'm there for a different reason. And I think a lot of other people are as well. But there's a lot of people, probably a vast majority, that would not walk across that stage with no fish. Day 3, numerous people came up to me. This is Toledo Bend. Numerous people came up to me. You don't have to go across that stage. I said, oh, yes, I do. I do. I'm going. This is my little bit to talk to people. Hey, every once in a while, we as professional anglers have a bad day. It's okay. It's okay to walk across that stage with nothing but an empty bag and say, I did not catch them today. I had some opportunities. I am grateful to be standing here. That mentality, that positive outlook, that's something that takes time, training, effort, and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And I'm representing people that I'm working with or products that I'm using, and I'm going to make a freaking statement. That dude, he'll walk across the stage with one fish or none fish, no fish, or a freaking mega bag. And that happens too.
Yeah.
He's consistent. That has to say something for a person's character.
For sure.
And that is a huge hurdle. It really, truly is. I've seen elites come across the stage with no fish, and certain ones, and they'll own it. Yeah,
Swindle is one.
I just didn't get on them today. It's all right. It doesn't define me.
Nope.
This was not my day. It's a day that will pass. Move on, learn, and try and do better.
As far as like knowing
Sorry to make that about me.
It is. This whole deal is about you, bro.
That's about Cole now.
Trying to figure out your purpose, right? Or trying to figure out what that predetermined plan is that's, I think, even harder.
Okay, here's something else.
Maybe you're not supposed to know.
Here's something else I keep in mind. You never know who's watching, and you never know who needed to see that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What if there's an upcoming superstar that was following, let's just say me. Chances of this are very unlikely, but you never know who you're going to influence by going across that stage on your worst day in the tournament with nothing to show for it aside from a good attitude. Who are you motivating? Who are you, what kind of energy are you or I putting out at that point?
Putting into the universe.
Correct. By saying, yeah, I'm a human. I had a bad day, but it's okay because this day will pass.
Right.
And I'll wake up tomorrow and I'm going to go fishing again.
Yeah.
And that's awesome.
It is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. The universe is a mystery, dude.
It is. We will never figure it out in this lifetime. I don't think we're going to figure it out until we're out of this lifetime.
I feel, well, yeah.
And then we might get some more clues, and then we're going to be on to another lifetime, because I don't think energy disappears either. You want to go down there?
Yes, I do.
You remember us talking about the movie Powder last time?
Yes. And I think we're closer than we ever have been to figuring it out. Maybe.
I don't think so. I think every time we're given a clue, if we embrace said clue, there's more clues out there that we're just kind of oblivious to at that point.
So you're saying God's a lot like fishing. You never fully have him or fishing figured out.
I don't want to figure it out.
I don't either.
I love
fishing. I want to figure it out.
No, you never will.
No, I know, but I want to.
Do you know why you
it's
never will?
It's the constant pursuit of wanting to figure it out that is...
Because we as people and overthinkers overcomplicate it.
Oh, for sure.
We're going up against something that has the brain the size of a frickin' quarter or dime.
Yeah.
And we're trying, with our frickin' massive frickin' brains up here, we're trying to outsmart these things. What do fish do? Eat?
Swim? Fornicate.
Yes, they reproduce.
Yep.
That's what they do. They survive.
Right.
And we're trying to figure out a way to catch them.
But
and we overcomplicate it.
Yes, but that scenario where it matters, whatever you're doing.
It matters for that day, for that time frame.
Doesn't mean you have it figured out, but
No.
you do for that day and that.
Correct. And that's when you capitalize, and that's when you do well. But you're only as good as that day, because the next day is totally different, and the next day is totally different. So every day we're trying to figure out a new realm, or we're overcomplicating it to the point where we think we need to figure it out. I don't know, dude. It's just a big guessing game. When you think you got it figured out, somebody's going to throw you a curveball. Just like when you got a plan, a higher power is going to come along and say, nope. Today, that's not going to work, buddy. What are you going to do to adjust? How are you going to react? What's your perception going to be? How good of a person are you?
Right.
Let's test this. Is everything a test? Is everything just a shit, for lack of a better term, a test? Are we being tested on a day-to-day, hour-by-hour, minute-to-minute realm to where, how are you going to react to this? You're going to ask me a question. How am I going to answer that? Am I going to answer it in a way that makes me seem not me? Or am I going to answer it in a way that's genuine to me?
Right.
Am I going to answer it in a way that is true to me? That I'm going to be able to be like, I answered Aaron's questions pretty all right. Or am I going to feed you a line of bullshit? I'm not going to do that.
No,
because I couldn't handle
that.
So
I don't mind bullshit, but
no, bullshit's fun. The greatest thing?
What?
When you walk up and you tell people exactly what you were doing and they think you're bullshitting them.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's almost like you don't even need to lie to anybody.
I haven't lied about fishing in a very, very long time.
Totally.
I
You
used
won't.
to.
You'll not say anything before you lie.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like, no, here's what I was doing. Go ahead, duplicate it.
Do you think we live in a simulation?
Oof, boy. There's parts of me at times where I think, like, okay, because nothing, no matter how many in my head right decisions I think I make, it just doesn't work out. It's like, okay, I have zero control. Control is an illusion. It 100% is an illusion.
I love this.
Any little thing at any point in time, sure, you may be in control, illusion, at this moment, but the next moment,
there's something way
let's
greater
say
that's gonna-
on the way back home, I hit black ice. How are you going to react to that, hot rod? You know, how fast you going? You know, which way are you going to turn the steering wheel? It's just, there's a rogue wave coming. I see it. Okay, I can prepare for it. What happens if I don't see it? Now what?
My steering
are
quit's
you
working
in control?
at 65 miles an hour.
Right.
Crash.
Yeah.
Not
Are-
no.
Yeah, dude. I mean, everything. Okay, back to gambling. Everything's a risk.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. There's so many.
know
There's so
either.
many unknowns. What are we ever going to figure out in this lifetime?
I think dreams are like what's so mysterious to me is like we live this other life in our sleep that
Sure.
we don't like. There's very few that can consciously process. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
when you dream, you don't have control in that dream. Most of the time, you don't even remember that dream. Right?
Correct. But there's a lot of bad dreams out there.
There
So what's
is.
that say? Are we going to go Freudian on this?
Well, maybe those that dreams are super confusing, but there's like people who train themselves to like lucid dream,
Sure.
and if you can dream lucidly, you can fly.
I've
You
had
can
flying dreams.
Create trees. You can do
Sure.
anything you want.
We can Bob Ross the hell out of this thing.
Yes, anything, right? And it's like, then for me, you wake up. You could have won the Bassmaster Classic in that dream, and I wouldn't have remembered.
Right.
So it's like, do we live another life when we're asleep and we just don't know it? Like,
It's entirely
it's
possible.
a weird. And then
But here's
is
okay.
the universe? The universe is in us, around us.
It's all things.
I almost feel like God might be the universe.
It's all things.
Right.
God,
God.
universe, galaxy, all things.
So do you think like
All encompassing.
we have God and the devil in all of us?
Was God or was the devil not one of God's fallen angels?
Probably was.
Yeah. So I don't know. So it brings me to deja vu.
Yeah, that's a wild one.
Deja vu is like a conscious dream,
Yes.
but you've been there.
But you can't put your place on.
Correct.
Yep.
But does that mean you're on the right path? Does that mean that are we all on repeat until we get it figured out? And what are we trying to figure out?
Right.
Why are we seeing things that are so familiar? It's scary with deja vu.
Yep.
Have we been here before? Are we on the right path or are we on a path of destruction?
Are we in 1,000 places at once in different dimensions?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Where's energy?
What is energy?
Energy is everything.
Mm-hmm.
So if energy is everything and everywhere, and we're energy, we could be anywhere.
Right. At once.
Look at what we're figuring out on the galaxy.
Dude, yeah, I think we really.
Look at Cole.
I think we got a Nobel Peace Prize on our hands. Or something.
He needs beer. He needs whiskey. He needs something stronger.
For sure. For sure. That is, man, super fascinating to me. I'm
When-
so deep, I don't even know where we are.
Windshield time and time alone on the water is very fun and very difficult at the same time because all these thoughts go through a person's head.
Yeah.
You know, and you said as tournament anglers that we're all a little bit on the spectrum.
Yeah.
So we're overthinkers and at times we're underthinkers.
Yep.
And you just got to be able to harness what works for you.
Yep.
And if you can do that, and not overthink things and not overcomplicate things. Keep it as simple as possible, and realize that not everybody's thinking the way that you or I are thinking. That's okay.
It is.
And it's fun to see play out when you're catching fish around a whole bunch of people and they're not, or they're catching fish and you're not. And it's like, okay, at that point, now what? I'm the odd man out.
And it's not a difference in people's abilities.
No.
It's a difference of how you think, how you feel,
Correct.
and how you...
It's
and
the
that's
energy in the
beauty of
moment.
it.
Yeah.
It's the beauty of the sport, baby.
Yeah.
It's the beauty of the galaxy.
Yeah, it's
the
soup
beauty of the
sandwich ass.
universe. It's the beauty of the solar system.
It's something.
It's gorgeous. And
It's all unknown, though. And what are we ever going to figure out? We can speculate till the cows come home.
the government did recently come out with the fact that aliens are real. So I don't even need to ask that anymore on this podcast.
Perfect.
So,
Well, I'm glad they finally clued us into what a lot of us knew.
well, we all knew this a while ago because we know this slug technology was not Earthborn.
Dude, that is interdimensional.
Yep.
That was that was passed down from a future generation. They spat that shit back in time.
I mean, a slug weightless to me is kind of like a Fluke and a Senko
We're going back there, aren't we?
fucked and had a kid. Maybe?
Okay.
I don't know. But back to energy, back to interdimensional energy, quantum physics. And
Okay.
Do you feel like we actually landed on the moon?
See, that's not energy and interdimensional anything.
It might be getting there. No, but it's not. I'm like rolling around the galaxy aimlessly at this point, just waiting for a bite.
I would really, really like to believe and think that we landed on the moon. But there's so many things out there that say to the contrary.
Yeah, it's like, why, if we went there,
Who took the picture?
right? And why haven't we gone back?
Right. Is it because we can't, or we can't fake it anymore?
You'd think we'd be able to fake it a hell of a lot better now.
You'd certainly think with AI and friggin'
Yeah.
CGI and all that crap.
Right.
Sure, you'd certainly think
Figured
that we
they'd
could
have some
fake it
live
out.
footage going on to say, hey, just so
Correct.
you know, we're on this thing.
Yeah, we shot up some GoPros on a different satellite. It landed, and okay, they're set up robotically. And okay, by the way, we're going to film this landing. We're going to film the people walking out of the craft. Yeah, no, we've not been back. Why?
I don't know. Maybe we're trying to force it.
Oof. So I watched a little video because videos are my Achilles heel when I'm being a hermit.
Yep.
Was it the Challenger
Yeah.
that popped back in the 80s?
Yeah, the crash one or the one that
That blew
exploded?
up?
Yep.
I think I was in social studies class, Mr. Beckman's class, back up in Walker, Minnesota. And it was in the middle of the 80s somewhere. There's pictures of the crew that were supposedly on, and this is so conspiracy and
gives
so
a shit?
and so out there.
There's a lot of those that have been proven true.
But there's doppelgangers of these people that have similar careers, but just different names, but similar careers as to what they were doing prior. And I don't know, dude. There's so much unknown out there. I know for a fact we're not being told the truth about a whole ton of things.
Oh, yeah. Operation Mockingbird.
Oh boy. So there's a lot of speculation, and this is where conspiracy theorists get their bad rap, because we question things, and it's okay to question
I
things.
love it.
If you don't question things, how can you keep shit in check?
Yep.
So you throw a lure to keep the bass honest, to quote Zona. You got to keep them honest.
Favorite.
Yeah.
I love that.
You got to keep them honest.
Yep.
So you're questioning what they're doing.
Yep.
Okay, so we're questioning things here, now, and in the past. And in the future, probably we're questioning things, but that hasn't played out yet. But we can question past stuff, to be sure. We can question present stuff that we're faced right now. If we question future stuff, something's going to come along to say, oh, no, you shouldn't have questioned that.
Right.
Or if you did question it, it's like, okay, here you go.
Right.
Now what?
That's just it. I'm just wondering, I mean, we killed JFK, like, hands down. We'll never know, but
Dude. Why haven't those records been unsealed yet?
I'll tell you why, because they don't want us to know we killed him. Because then every president that gets assassinated moving forward, the first finger we'll point is at ourselves.
Correct. We're not going there.
Nope.
No, you're going to have the freaking FBI kicking down your door here pretty quick.
I'm pretty sure the FBI knows we're a bunch of loonies by now, Mr. Tuma. Mm-hmm. And all we were missing was some tinfoil on our heads. But, yeah.
That's just good for a good reception with our television sets.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, Alex Jones is still on air, so I think we're good.
True story.
Yeah, the interdimensional lizards.
Oh, boy. All right. Are we done being deep? We're going to bring it back to normal realm?
Yeah, we can go.
What other things would you like to speak of or talk about? You want to go back to the frog stuff? You want to talk?
I want this to be an open environment for Tuma to air out. Tuma.
Oh, dude, I've aired.
Well, yeah, in the seat, air into yourself in the truck drive on the way to this or that, but like...
Okay, so windshield time, seat time, being just...
Let's go music. Let's go
music.
music. Yeah, dude, because last time we got to Sinatra.
Okay.
And with all the trap, I'm a huge music guy. If you go in my house, there's a bunch of records in there with a record player.
Very cool. Vinyl?
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Very proud of my vinyl collection.
That's a huge debate as well.
Dude,
vinyl versus digital.
Vinyl.
Yeah, 100%.
And I wouldn't have said that until I got vinyl.
Yeah.
But the amount of little nuggets I've discovered, and like we've lost this in music, right?
Sure.
It's when you used to want to listen to Tom Petty and it's 1974, you got to start up that old whatever you're driving back then, drive to the store,
Sure.
grab Tom Petty off the shelf,
Yep.
bring Tom Petty home, place Tom Petty on a record player, and what people would do is you'd listen to that whole album,
Yes.
that whole piece of art.
Correct.
Music is art,
It is.
we've seemed to forget that, and I really come to appreciate art, and
All the
art
tracks.
of music, all of it.
Yes.
The amount of great music I've discovered from that record player
So like
is something else.
8 tracks and cassettes and hell, even CDs. You know, you pretty much listened to all the tracks.
Yep.
And then you picked your favorites. And with the advent of technology, we were able to skip the ones we didn't really care for and, you know, jump to the ones we really liked. And
Eventually,
you
we weren't
jam
getting
out.
an album anymore.
Correct.
What the fuck's an album? We're getting 2 songs that we like, and
Yep.
we don't even know what else is
Yeah,
out
got
there.
them on repeat. Yep. So are we doing it to ourselves or are we being forced to do it?
I think the business, it's the business of the nature,
Sure.
the music business. I mean, if you talk to any musician, it's evil. The devil owns that business.
The devil-
three
The
to
devil's in everything, dude.
devil. But you've got the powers that be made it that way,
Sure.
and you got natural.
But we allowed it
of course, we
as
well,
consumers.
we did.
If we continue to purchase and purchase and purchase, we're going to be continued to be fed their agenda because we buy into it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. This stuff's crap now. That's what I know. Like there is a revival of good music nowadays, I think too. There's some outlaw kind of Americana
Sure.
kind of stuff, but I mean, I don't know, man. What do you listen to mostly in your long drives?
Hair Nation.
D. Snyder's House of Hair.
Freaking love D. Snyder. I didn't back in the day. It was too crazy for me. I was a 60s and 70s music kid growing up. I loved the oldies, the old
Me
car jams, you know, the hot rod era, you know, stuff like that.
Yep.
You know, Jan and Dean, the Beach Boys, blah 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 blah, blah. The Big Bopper.
Yep.
You know, that was classical now, but that was my go-to music then. My brother was into all the rock, you know, the Twisted Sister, the Motley Crue, the, you know, stuff of those lines. And it took me a while to get into that. And now I'm all about Hair Nation. My daughter is a freaking Hair Nation girl.
Love it.
She freaking just loves those the old 80s, the stuff
Yeah.
I freaking grew up with. And she's into it.
I love seeing the evolution of music. Like, I mean, from a Sinatra or like one of my favorite records that's ever been given to me was Conway Twitty's. greatest hits, like
Okay.
old school, like 1948 Conway Twitty.
Sure.
Fucking amazing, right?
Yes, sir.
But like to see how music, it's almost like fishing, where it was like a curve like that.
Yep.
And it was like between 65 and 75, I think, was the most transformative.
That was a big era.
It's like LiveScope came out or something, or I don't even know. Probably not, because no.
Have you heard the okay, so the 2D flashers.
Yep.
Dude, that technology was there.
Right.
We're just using it to look out front now.
Right.
What if I'd have taken my flasher back in the day and tipped the transducer so that it was pointed forward?
Well, the old
It's-
ice hole trick where they
Yeah, it's the same freaking thing.
hasn't changed that much.
What if somebody back in the day when only thing we had was side scan, what if somebody took the transducer and mounted it such a direction that it was pointed forward? I did that.
You did?
Yeah.
See, I knew we were getting somewhere with this music conversation. Did it work?
No, but I did it. I tried it.
Of course you did. I love that, dude.
You gotta try.
Yeah.
What the heck?
I remember when I was first working at Intune, it was early on, there was like this saltwater sailing sonar
Okay.
that was used for navigation and sailing. It was a very tiny piece, but I was like trying to figure out how you could get this on a trolling motor on the front of a boat, because I
Sure.
felt like that was going to be a difference maker. And then like a year later, whatever comes
Forward
out,
facing
but-
comes out. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So Hair Nation though, okay. So like some Iron Maiden, some
Anything. Doesn't matter.
as long as it's fast and metal and
And
hairish.
even some of the chick band stuff in the 80s is
Pat
phenomenal.
Benatar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. 70s, ABBA. Okay.
Okay.
You want to be my dancing queen?
Young and sweet, only 17.
Something along those
Yeah.
lines. No, I have a fairly wide genre when it comes to music, but a guilty little tidbit for you. A lot of times when I'm on the road and just driving, radio's off.
Silence.
Yes. Windshield time.
Simon and Garfunkel, that shit.
Oh, the sound of.
Silence.
Correct. Yep. That's a very, very good time to reflect.
Don't ride in the car with Keith. Pretty boring.
Yeah, unfortunately. Ask my daughter. Ask
You
my
make her sit
girlfriend.
in silence with you?
There's times where she'll throw her earbuds in and listen to something, and that's cool. Or I'll put the music. I'll have the music on, but it'll be really muted or low volume. And then there's times where I crank it up, and it's like, okay, I got to get out of my own damn head because this is doing me no good.
Right. Right. Well, I think the spirit's inside you. It's a matter of you can hear the spirits inside you a little bit better.
Spirit of the wild,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
frickin' the Nuge.
Nuge. Stranglehold. I love that song.
Great song.
Who else did what was the play? Sanford Townsend Band.
Okay.
You ever heard of them?
That-
One album?
Very, very, very unheard of. Yes.
Fire.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good stuff.
Looking Glass
Yes.
is probably my favorite band that no one's heard of. And
Okay.
They only put out 2 albums. I'm still bidding on them on eBay.
Okay.
I charge a pretty penny for Looking Glass nowadays.
Phenomenal music.
Dude.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. Oh, this is Andy Walls. You are officially on Teal's Bass Galaxy podcast with Keith Tuma. On the record, Andy Walls, how's it going?
No way. I called it the wrong time.
No, you called it the right time, brother.
How are you guys doing?
We're having some whiskeys and we just burned the backwoods, and now we're listening to Andy Walls chiming in on the Bass Galaxy here.
We were just talking about music, and Keith was telling me how he likes to ride in silence for 14 hours straight because he likes the sound of silence.
That's not true.
Are you calling me a liar, Walls?
Well, I've totally heard music.
No, there's been music, but there's definitely times where there's no music. Mostly,
I guess I can't say you're a liar. I don't know if things have changed. I've heard music.
there's music, especially when there's company in the vehicle. But when there's no company, there was a lot of times where I would listen to the turbo spool up on my diesel truck, and that was soothing to me. The tires on the road, the wind noise, and just being in my head. We went deep, Walls.
It's driving perfectly straight the entire time.
No, dude, it was all about spreading the peanut butter when you were riding.
Well, that's my technique.
We already gave up all your techniques, Walls.
Paying for it. I'm using it all.
Lord almighty. I hope this isn't a boring podcast.
Well, if they're fishing degenerates like us, I'm sure it's fine. Walls, do you have any questions for Tuma on the record here?
I have a lot of them, but it's definitely going to get cut if he answers, so we can just pass.
Ooh. Oh.
Pass on to question 2.
Question 2? What was question 2?
I don't know. One that he can answer? He's so confused right now. I love this.
Yeah, no, I got it. What, in point standings, what place are you going to finish next year?
Oh, good Lord, dude.
That's a damn good question.
We
just talked about not answering that.
That comes back to the universe. I am going to do my best to be 9th place or better. But we'll see how it shakes out. I have to start off strong, and I have to stay strong the entire season. And if I'm close again, I am perfectly cool with that. Or if I bomb, I'm cool with that too.
There you have it.
What place is Keith Tuma going to get next year, Andy Walls, in points? Maybe this is a better question for you.
I mean, I could definitely make a prediction.
This podcast is brought to you by my compadre, my tournament partner, my brother, and the best rod builder above the Mason-Dixon line, Vocelka Fishing and Customs. Specializing in custom fishing rods. That's right. Hand-built fishing rods, custom-made and tailored how you want, whether it's by length, action, specific technique, balance, or anything you want. Anything. Vocelka Fishing and Customs can build it. Mr. Vocelka also has a wide variety of rods to choose from, which we've had a lot of fun with, perfecting and testing. The most unique and famous rod developed at Vocelka Fishing and Customs is his custom Marabou hair jig rod. Have you thrown the old Canadian dinner mint, the Harry Gary, the fighter fly, the old thin Lizzie? If you have, then you know these little fluff balls can be hard to cast, especially at those key sizes as light as 1/16 of an ounce. Well, what if I told you you could cast that Marabou jig 30 to 50% farther than you're casting it now? What if I told you you don't have to spook those shallow, skittish smallmouth? Well, with the custom hair jig rod from Vocelka Fishing and Customs, not only can you cast a lot further, but the way this rod loads up on a long cast is pure perfection. This balanced rod has the perfect backbone with a light action parabolic taper that keeps those fish pinned without breaking your line. Mr. Vocelka utilizes an 8-foot custom fly fishing blank converted to a spinning rod and couples it with premium guides leading up to custom fly guides that allow maximized casting distance and reduced line friction and blank slap, maximizing your overall performance, obviously. And we found this rod is not only perfect for marabou hair jigs, but for any light bait you need to cast far, including small swim baits, spy baits, and more. Any light bait you need to cast far, look no further than the Vocelka Fishing and Customs Hair Jig Special. So head on over to his website, vocelkafishing.com. That's VOCELKA fishing.com. And treat yourself to the custom hair jig rod or any custom rod you can dream up.
It would be a prediction and just a guess. But
Okay, hang on. I'm going to stop you right there. Let's keep all our predictions to ourselves until the end of the season, and then we can reflect on it in a dual podcast with Walls and Tuma. How's that?
I'm going to say this. No matter what place he finishes,
I'm proud of you.
he's going to be happy.
Absolutely.
And we're all going to be proud. So it's going to be a good year. I don't know what place he'll finish it, Mr. Teal, but it's going to be a good year.
All I know is this year might be the year that a human being from the North Country
Not a Tonka rat?
makes the Elite Series.
It's
I
possible.
think this is the year. And it could be 2.
It could be. Easton Fothergill will be the year.
I mean, I'm if you're asking me, 2 it's like when it's going to happen, it's going to be 2 at once.
Maybe. That's a pretty stout prediction, but I'm rolling with it.
I have one question for Andy Walls.
Get him.
Did you catch a buzzbait fish yet this month, Mr. Walls?
No buzzbait bass. No, nothing. No, haven't even thrown it.
They smoked their melons up against the ice, but they couldn't get to it.
Have you been tip-upping the big walleyes, at least?
I have not wet a line since you and I last fished.
Wow.
No fishing for this guy.
Well, that was a tough day. That last time we fished.
Yep, that's how I'm going out. So,
We caught a net
At least you caught it.
and a crayfish.
live species.
That's a clue.
That's what we caught. We were looking at about 50 of them, but I think we needed
A live bait,
whatever we weren't doing.
a cast
Well,
net.
I find it quite odd that I happened to call literally right during the Tuma podcast, so I apologize for interrupting. But
No, we were just talking about positive and negative energy.
Oh my God, here we go again.
we're still on the same wavelength, and Tuma and I are going to have to get in the boat again next summer.
That's what's called a wavelength. Like
That will happen.
I didn't bring that up with you, Tuma, but like positive, negative energy, that how you're thinking about somebody, and then all of a sudden, like 5 minutes later, they call you.
There's something to that,
There's
isn't there?
something to that.
Uh-huh. Walls and
I didn't tell him you were here today.
Walls
Everybody thought you were here last night.
This is true. Walls and I got in the boat one time this past year, 2023. One time we got in the boat together, and it was an epic day.
Yeah, 1 for 1.
Yeah, buddy. 100%. Batting 1,000.
Yep.
Hey, Walls, do you want me to call you back later?
You know, feel free. Enjoy the galaxy, Mr. Tuma.
Thank you, bud.
Have fun.
Andy Walls, everybody. Thanks for making a special appearance. This was extra special.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel privileged.
It's the highlight.
Keith Tuma, on the record, said that you're a better chatterbait fisherman than him. Just want you to know that.
Well, that says, I mean, I think I would probably argue oppositely, but we do it completely different, and that's a compliment, and I appreciate that.
He appreciates you too, and so do I, Mr. Walls. All right, I'm going to wrap up with Mr. Tuma here, bud.
Enjoy.
Love you.
Bye, Andy. That's a solid dude right there. He
One of the
knew we
best.
were talking, and he chimed in. That's my partner.
That was, yeah. Your
That's-
tournament calls.
That's my buddy.
How's that? I've enjoyed getting to know him. He's a good dude.
Solid dude.
Solid dude.
Yep.
I like the way you two think about fishing.
Oh, we're messed up in the head.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, dude. But that was some talk about the universe and energy.
There you go.
If that's not some pudding in the proof there.
Pudding.
Pudding.
God, I love pudding.
What do you... Oh, yeah. I haven't had pudding since Nam. Right. I used to really like tapioca pudding, though, when I was a
Dude,
kid.
I love tapioca. My daughter can't stand it.
I don't even know what tapiocas are, but I like them.
They're little frog eggs or fish eyes or whatever.
Frog eggs?
That's what they look like. They're little daggum silicone balls or tapioca balls or whatever the hell they are. Jello balls.
Why?
It's fucking phenomenal.
It's great.
My mom makes the best, in my opinion, tapioca pudding. And she
Really?
hasn't made it in decades. And I miss it. That is one dish that will bring me back to my youth. And she's going to listen to this, and she's going to be like, I'm going to make that little turd some tapioca pudding. Yeah. Because she's my mom, and I love her, and she loves me. And I'm the firstborn son.
Do you have brothers?
I have a younger brother, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. See
Yep.
fish?
With me every once in a while.
Sure.
Yeah. But we haven't been in the water in a while, so.
So he's got a different special. We all have something special.
Yeah, he's into some jujitsu, and he's into tattoos and the mountain bike riding. Yeah, he's a big biker. And that regard, the pedal.
Jiu-jitsu's fascinating.
Oh, dude, he has beat his body to oblivion doing the jujitsu and stuff. But yeah,
It's an art form in and of itself.
he's the polar opposite of me, but we have so many similarities. Yeah.
I'd
Definitely.
be curious to meet a second Tuma sometime. That'd be wild.
You'd have your hands full with that one.
Well, I believe it. Well, I believe it.
He might listen to this as well. We'll see. Yep. His name's Brian.
Brian Tuma.
Yep. Always called him the brain tumor.
It's actually funny.
His
That's
initials
clever.
are BLT, so bacon, lettuce, and tomato.
Okay. Yeah, that's play. That's fuel for the older brother's fire.
Oh God, yeah, I can rib him because he can't reply to this. That's what's awesome.
I've never had a younger brother before, unless my sister decided to make a change.
Oh, good Lord, hope she doesn't.
Hey,
More power to her if she does.
hey, there's still only two genders, Keith.
There is. Isn't that the
that
weird
weird?
thing?
Yeah, the world changes, but
Still only two.
still only two
And they had inadvertently admit it.
every time.
Isn't that crazy?
Yep. What is a woman?
Oof, I can't define one. Can you?
A
No, I can. I'm
human
being
who can bear
facetious.
children.
Boom. All right. Anyway, we're getting off the subject.
We're just roaming through the galaxy, man.
Oh my God, we're touching on way too many things. What are you doing now?
Chicken time.
All right. He's checking time. He's not grabbing my thigh.
Well, Cole's gonna be pissed because I didn't change the time to the normal seconds.
Uh-oh.
So we're at like 6,664 seconds from what I could tell. And I don't know how that translates to minutes.
Well, divide that by 60 and you'll have minutes. We're 100 and some minutes in. 106 minutes in. So that's like a little over an hour and a half. isn't
There's
it?
no way.
I know, it seems like 2-3 hours.
Yeah, I
Actually, it
think we're
seems like
getting-
12 minutes.
I think, well, yeah.
But
We're
we
in
did have that break.
Galaxy time is so confusing.
It is.
What is time?
Exactly. We created it as humans.
It's a measurement.
Well, there's lots of measurements, but time, yeah, what is it?
It's made up.
It is. It's an illusion as well.
Whoa.
Dude, you bring me down so many freaking wormholes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that I just keep to myself
Nope.
until I come to the vast galaxy.
Keep them coming, bud. Okay. So, do you have any time hacks besides a stroker? Because there's
That is a
there's
time
time
hack.
and then there's Tuma time in the stroker.
Oh, dude.
And that's a different measurement.
There's two things. You can't the slower your boat is, the less fishing time you have. And the slower your boat is, but this is I'm gonna be a hypocrite here, and I hate to be hypocritical, but bass like to go fast. So when I fished out of the stroker, I did pretty well because bass want to go for rides. Yeah, they want to crest that 90 or 100 mile an hour mark.
Yeah.
They dig it.
Yeah, I can't blame them. I mean, they don't get to do that every day, you know?
No.
That's like a free ticket to like,
But I've won a lot of tournaments out of a 31 mile an hour boat too.
right.
So there's my hypocrisy.
So you can only fish out of one boat though in the opens. Or
No.
are you So you can fish one out the Super Stroker?
I think I could. I haven't.
you should.
I don't think it's in the rules. No, that thing's illegal, unfortunately. Too much horsepower.
Oh, really?
Mm.
250 max, right?
Yes, sir.
And that's 300?
Plus.
300 that the government knows about.
Well, that's what it says on the sticker.
Sticker. Special prop, sticker. When's the
Prop.
last time you took that kitty for a walk?
Oh, it's been way too long, unfortunately.
Okay.
Way too long.
I still need to drive that before I die.
I hope you will.
I'd love to.
Okay.
I just want to see how quick I could get it. I
My
know.
my prediction.
Yep.
You will get it to 74 miles an hour and you'll lose it the first time.
Probably the first time, yeah.
And then I'll teach you how to drive it. And then the boat has to be okay with you behind the wheel, and then it will let you go faster. Is that the weirdest thing in the world?
Nope. No, it's not, because I've come to appreciate it. I've just never driven, like I've driven a go fast boat that you have to drive,
Yep.
but that's another level, obviously.
Oh, this is. But once it's
What
up
I
there,
know is I know the feel for a haul and being able to correct left a little bit.
okay.
Is that all it is? Micro corrections to the left for you?
Sure, but the majority of it is in the seat of your pants.
Wait.
No. Well,
Well,
weight is huge.
feeling the boat.
Okay, so walls. It took him several trips
Yep.
in the stroker.
We were talking about moving the shop back.
And then he got it.
yeah.
And he could feel the boat out of adjustment, if you will. and I would be thinking it. I'm driving it. Okay, and I can correct as a driver because I had enough seat time with this thing. But he would make the move, and the move with the 25-pound shot bag was a foot.
Yeah.
And if we would move it back, and I would be driving less, and he would be like, got it. He was that in tune with that boat. You feel it in your ass before you see it, if that even makes sense.
It does. It
So-
does.
A lot of people that I let drive this thing, they would get freaked out when I would grab the grab handles. I'd start off, okay, go ahead, drive my boat. I don't care. My buddy Chad Ingvelson, he's the one. He could. If you want to have him on and tell me about Tuma and his driving abilities and all this stuff and the boats and this and that, he's the one that will attest to the fact that I freaked him out numerous times. He's driving my boat, or he's driving his boat. He bought a stroker as well, and he can drive the fire out of that thing. But I would be along with him, and I would reach for the grab handles before he realized what was going on. And then all of a sudden the boat would get out of control. And not out of control in a bad way, but it would fall off a pad. How's that?
Yep.
It's a balancing act is all it is.
Yep.
And the closer to perfectly balanced that thing is, this is where Walls would move that shot bag literally a foot.
Yep.
And it would cause me to have to drive way less. I'm exerting less energy, less input in the steering wheel. And so you were just making motions there. The GoPro will pick that up. But you're talking about making movements like this
To the left, because you've got a
Yep.
a 2x4 and a prop spinning to the right that wants to pull it off.
Okay,
pad.
so the pad on the stroker is 14 3/4 inches wide.
Okay.
That's the widest pad on, I think, pretty much any
Wider than I would have
V-hull
expected.
bass boat.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so Allisons are like a 9-inch pad. Bullets are like a 9 or 10-inch pad. There's smaller pads, so they're way sketchier. A stroker is extremely forgiving. But if you're not balancing it perfectly on that 14 3/4 inches, it just doesn't feel right. And Walls picked up on that, which is another thing that I really freaking loved about fishing with him. The dude got it. He could feel it. And if you ask him sometime, he'll say, yeah, you can feel it in your seat before you can see what's going on.
Well, have you seen the movie Ford vs. Ferrari?
I have not yet.
You need to see that
I've
movie.
heard it's phenomenal.
But I think it was Christian Bale's the driver in that. And
Sure.
He was talking about, like, they improved the car so, like, you couldn't feel it as much. And he's
Okay.
like, "Oh, no, I need to feel
What's going on.
Every
Yeah.
vibe. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, and that's what makes me think of that.
And the 100% translates to driving that hull boat.
It'd probably take me a few times to feel
100%
that
it
boat.
will.
Yeah.
It was a year before I cracked 95 mile an hour in my stroker. A year.
That's what's cool about those boats. It's like nobody can just hop in your boat and drive it as fast as you.
You run the fire out of it all day long at 70 miles an hour. Mm-hmm. I mean, you can have the trim tucked all the way down, jack plate all the way down, and it'll run 70 mile an hour.
That's crazy.
All the way down.
Full tuck.
Full tuck. You'll run 70.
Can you imagine driving a bass boat and not having to trim it out even a wink and it goes 70? Every other bass boat you need to trim all the way.
Yeah, or all the way and then come down a couple bumps. But yeah, I mean you're trimming to get 70. This thing, nah. 70's nothing.
It's an efficient hull.
It is super efficient. But as soon as you start airing that thing out, that's when you need to be on your A game. And yeah, it's a balancing act is all it is. Like literally, I had the batteries. I knew Walls was going to be my partner for a while. And I set the boat up. Eric Ahlstrom was a little bit bigger a boy than Andy Walls. And I had the boat set up for me and Eric. I did a lot more driving with Eric in the boat just because he wasn't in tune with, there's a plug for In Tune Marine, in tune with how the boat was going to react in a given scenario. And it was fine. I didn't care. I didn't expect that of him. But when Andy started subconsciously or inadvertently feeling that I was driving too hard, he'd move that weight. Or maybe it was the fact that I'd bump his arm and say, slide that weight over. to the point where it's like, okay, now I know what to feel for. And he picked up on it, and he just did it on his own. It was great. I could concentrate on driving that frickin' boat. And yeah, I mean, Table Rock Lake, there was a time we were down there, him and I were running 102 mile an hour, fully loaded to fish. And it was nothing.
Was that before you ate the seagull?
That was probably that same trip.
That's so funny.
Dude, that was such a nasty, gross. I still have that smell in my nose. It was the nastiest thing. And it's just dead shad. That's dead, regurgitated, schmucked shad with seagull feathers. It looked like a pillow when we hit that thing with the trolling motor. It was the craziest, nastiest thing. But we both laughed about it.
Oh, man.
He saw it coming. I knew it was going to happen. I couldn't duck because I didn't want to spin the boat out and do any weird things with it. But yeah.
Crazy.
But I mean, what a phenomenal hull too. You know, not to plug Stroker too terribly much. I don't run them, but I mean, I've got one in my garage. But I popped a motor. My buddy Jim Smith and I were up on Leech. We're practicing for a tournament. We're planned on running this boat. I just put a new motor on it that I bought. Spent a pile of money on it. Anyway, we're running behind Bear Island, going from, we launched at Brevik and shooting up to Boy Bay. We're in the headquarters area. Blew the motor. Yeah. And that boat dropped the bow and turned hard right. Okay, I was under control. He ended up almost in my lap. He's a big dude. But I was like, are you okay? And he goes, yeah, I'm okay. And I said, okay, I'm okay. But the boat, it just reacted in such a manner to where it didn't eject either one of us. We were only running 80, but I mean 80.
Only 80.
Only 80. I mean, right. That motor was fully capable of like not high 100s, but like, okay, so 110. It was in that 107 to 108 range with that motor on it is what it should have done. But it blew up. It's okay. Anyway, it didn't injure either one of us, and that was a huge eye-opener for me about that hull, how it reacted under certain scenarios. I'd throw a prop at 90 miles an hour. It'd do the same thing. It'd drop the bow, start freaking shaking like crazy, and you throw an ear on a prop. It happens. You're surfacing these props. I mean, that's hard on stuff.
Super hard on stuff.
Yeah.
Only certain props are even designed to be surfaced like that.
Correct. And they're not even fully designed for it.
Right.
Because they still throw ears.
Yep.
So my buddy Chad Ingvelson, we put a GoPro on the back of the boat to watch when that at what speed that gear case would climb on top of the water. 28 miles an hour. And it was surfaced.
Damn.
That's crazy, right?
That's crazy. It's
Yeah. I mean, it was just up.
Damn.
It's like, okay, all trim and jack plate from here.
Damn.
I mean, what a handful, but what a cool experience.
I want to go fast boat someday. I've said it before, but I think that's badass. Okay. It's my last question for you tonight.
Last question.
Mm-hmm.
There's pressure right now. For some reason, I'm feeling pressure.
No, we just talked about this. That's not how the world works, right?
Hit me with it.
You've just had a full year of opens under your belt. You're about to have a second one.
Yes.
Okay. What did you learn from this year that you're going to take into next year that's going to benefit you? What are like some key lessons? I know there's takeaways in that silence of seat time you've had driving hours and hours. And I know I'm not saying that shoulda, woulda, coulda stuff, but there are takeaways from any season, from any experience on the water that builds an angler up. And if you look at things right, if you're an angler, it's always just about growth and progression.
Correct.
So for next year, I guess, what are some things you learned this year that you're hoping to either correct or make sure you're more prepared for next year?
How many words do you want me to sum this up in?
As many as you'd like. There's no time limit to this question.
I taught myself that I need to stay true to myself, but be more open to adjustment. If that makes sense.
It does.
Okay.
It does.
So the be willing or be open to adjustment is when when I'm being true to myself and I'm fishing my strengths, be more apt to experiment on the water. And the reason being, how often are you trying something weird in pre-fish and it works? Mm-hmm. So on any given day, the ability to pre-fish, if you will, and I use that term really loosely, you're pre-fishing with confidence in an area that you know there's fish.
Correct.
But you be open to pre-fish on tournament day.
So you're saying, like, when something's working and you got this cricket in your hand and you're in this area.
Oh, stick with it if it's working.
But if it's not in that half hour,
you know you're in an area where there's fish or where things are going down, with the exception of a few lakes. Hartwell, that lake. I mean, I like it and I hate it. I have a love-hate with Hartwell. I really, truly do. That lake has kicked my teeth in, and it's done very, very well by me. It's an anomaly. And I'm sure there's other lakes that are very similar to that. If people from down south happen to be listening to this, they're going to be like, oh, this lake is like that. That lake's like that. That lake's like that. But anyway, if I can fish my strengths and it's working, I'm going to stick with it, and I'm going to exploit it for all I'm worth. That's the other thing. Don't let up. I gotta not let up. I gotta not think so much tomorrow as
right now
capitalizing on today, because tomorrow's going to change.
Yep. Tomorrow's never promised.
Correct. And we in depth talked about some of those things as well. But yeah, I mean, my takeaway from this season, I did good fishing, pretty much true to myself. I was stubborn a few times, and I probably will be in the future because I'm fallible. I'm a human, and it's okay. But I need to be open to those adjustments. And that, I think, is going to be, I might put a spinning rod in my hand if I need to. I know how important now a limit is every day. Mm-hmm. But I still need to be okay with not coming in with a limit.
Right. Well, I'm rooting for you this year, dude.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
How many more? Okay, so do you have a number of years in your mind that you're willing to do this?
It's an addiction. Mm-hmm. It really, truly is. Tournament fishing is an addiction. And so back to the gambling thing. Part of me, I'm conflicted. Part of me has said, this is my last year for the Opens. Part of me says, no, if you don't make it, keep trying, because you will be successful at some point. And by success, I mean making it to the next level.
Yep.
I don't know that I can compete at that next level, but I think I can hold my own.
I think you can.
And I think a lot of people that I know personally are capable. Mm-hmm. And we all surround ourselves with people that we're going to benefit from being around. And that's a big key too.
For sure. Nobody gets anywhere completely alone.
Correct.
You're influenced by whether it's a song on the way to the lake, whatever it is.
I learned so much this past year from the guys that I ran with. And I mean, I can't measure the gratitude that I have for that opportunity.